Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Alex Guilford.
A very good afternoon to you and welcome indeed to Brilla FM with me, Alex Guilford, for another bumper edition of the show. Over the next 4.5 hours, we have got all of the news coming from English football mostly, but we've also got a little liaison down in Qatar to keep you up to date with as well. But at 12:30, we've got two games that we're bringing you updates from. Our correspondent Johnny Holmes is at the Etihad Stadium for the game between Manchester City and Everton, and Patrick Noiret is at Portman Road updating us on the game between 4th and 5th in the Championship. That's Ipswich Town against West Bromwich Albion. Then at 3 o'clock, we have got updates from Liverpool against, 4 o'clock local time for you guys. It's 3 o'clock for us here in the London studio. That's Liverpool against Burnley, Tottenham against Brighton, Wolves host Brentford, Fulham against Bournemouth, and Luton Town against Sheffield United. And then we will also be bringing you updates from 4 p.m. in the game between Jordan and Qatar. That's the final of the Asia Cup. We will, of course, be looking towards the rest of the weekend's action. There's the small matter of the Super Eagles against the Elephants in the Africa Cup of Nations final tomorrow afternoon, of course. So if you're calling into the show, please let us know if you're excited for that one, Nigeria fans. We want to hear from you. What are the chances of your side succeeding tomorrow? It's also worth reminding you that the third, fourth place playoff between South Africa and DR Congo gets underway a little bit later today. Not quite such an exciting game in prospect on paper at any rate, but nonetheless, both teams, without sounding too patronising, have done extremely well to get to that stage of the tournament and ran both of the finalists pretty close in their semi-final as well. So potentially interesting contest this evening between South Africa and Congo. But before we do all of that, we've got to get the team news and the latest updates from Johnny Holmes, who is at the Etihad Stadium for us. Johnny, how are you, first of all, and what news have you got for us?
I'm good, Alex. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to everybody listening. Imagine being so strong that you can casually leave Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva on the bench for a Premier League fixture. Pep Guardiola has made 4 changes from his City side that beat Brentford in the Premier League on Monday. Matthias Nunes and Jeremy Doku come in for De Bruyne and Silva, with John Stones and Manuel Akanji replacing Kyle Walker and Josko Vardiol in defence. The full City squad is as follows: Ederson, Stones, Akanji, Diaz, who captains the side, Ake, Rodrigo, Nunes, Foden, Alvarez, Doku, Haaland. As for Everton, Sean Dyche names an unchanged side from the 2-2 draw against Tottenham, with Pickford in goal, Godfrey, Tarkowski, Branthwaite, Mikolenko, Young, Gay, Garner, McNeil, Harrison, Calvert-Lewin. Should be an interesting prospect for us, Alex. Back to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Johnny. We will be getting updates from Johnny throughout the afternoon and going back to him in a second. But before we hear from him again and look forward to our 4 p.m. games, the other early kickoff in the Premier League, which has just got underway, I believe, or is just about to, is on the show this afternoon. It's Ipswich Town against West Brom, and Patrick Noiret has got the team news for us. Patrick, how are you?
I'm all right. I hope you're fine. And yeah, good afternoon, everybody. And to just kick off, actually, a couple of changes to tell you about. Ipswich, 1 change, well, 2 changes, I should say. Broadhead comes in for Tomato and more for Jackson. We got to West Brom. They've got 1 change. Swift is out and Wyman is on. Top of the table, I could call this one. Like you said, 1's 4th, 1's 5th, 59 points for Ipswich, 48 points for West Brom. Just kicked off. Already you can see that Ipswich are pressing them. So with 29 minutes gone, Ipswich nil, West Brom nil.
Thank you very much indeed, Patrick. Be an interesting game, that one, because if Ipswich can bag themselves a victory, they will leapfrog, albeit perhaps temporarily, Southampton, who are currently languishing in second place, 11 points, all of 11 points behind Leicester City, who are first at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, they are very good, actually. I mean, they're both two good footballing side. From a tactical point of view, what Ipswich do, they press and press, win the ball in the final third and try to get a goal. As for West Brom, they're very patient with the ball and they just pass it around and try to get a goal. With 1 minute gone, it's still Ipswich 0, West Brom 0.
Thank you very much, Patrick. We'll be coming back to you in a few minutes' time for an update, I'm sure. But let's go back to Johnny Holmes at the Etihad Stadium for just sort of a bit of a sense check. Johnny, what are the opening exchanges of this game? What do they look like?
Well, as you can imagine, City have started off very brightly, winning the ball, pressing high up. They just had a corner whipped in. It looked dangerous, but it was nodded away at the back post. It's going to be a tough one for Everton, this. I think you're going to see a lot of Sean Dyche sitting back, sitting his side back, trying to soak up the pressure and just hoping he can use a bit of pace on the counter-attack because City have had all the possession so far. We've played 3 minutes. It's still 0-0 here at the Etihad.
Thank you very much, Johnny. We'll be heading back for some news from him, of course, as it unfolds, as events unfold. Manchester City looking to secure their 5th victory in a row. Been in pretty good form since they got back from the Club World Cup a couple of weeks ago. They're not completely flawless throughout this season. Arsenal are hot on their tails, 1 point behind in third at the moment, 2 points off top place Liverpool. So with this afternoon's games in mind, we've as I mentioned earlier, if I can eventually get the words out of my mouth, we'll be covering Liverpool against Burnley and Tottenham against Brighton. Those are our feature games at 4 o'clock. And then we will also be bringing you news from Wolves against Brentford, Fulham against Bournemouth, Luton Town against Sheffield United, and Jordan against Qatar in the Asia Cup. But it'd be worth just having a little listen to what Ange Postecoglou had to say ahead of his Tottenham side's game against Brighton this afternoon. He's got an update on Son Heung-min's availability for this game and the rest of the Spurs injury list. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
Sonny got back on Wednesday. Did recovery on Thursday, but trained with the team today. So he trained. He's trained. He obviously joined up as well this week. Lo Celso trained this week. So I think the only ones still out are Solomon and Sessegnon at this stage.
So a fairly short injury list for Ange Postecoglou at the moment, which will be welcome news for him because, lots of Premier League teams, particularly those at the top, seem to be struggling with injuries at the moment. But Son Heung-min's return, a real boost for his side, even if it was a little bit disappointing for them to get knocked out in the semi-final of the Asia Cup. I think they were certainly pretty heavy favourites to make the final, but we will be bringing you the game between Jordan and Qatar a little bit later on. Let's go back to Johnny Holmes and see if an opportunity has arisen for either side at the Etihad Stadium. What have you got for us, Johnny?
Seems that City are biding their time, but they've had all of the ball, just stroking it about very comprehensively in the middle of the park. Everton can't get near the ball at the moment. I think City will be very happy with the way they've settled down. Everton have hardly had any possession, certainly not in the Manchester City half. And of course, for the title race going forward, City, who looked like they were stuttering slightly against Brentford, but then just moved through the gears to pull away in that match. And you just feel that they've got too much for these sides in the Premier League, that they can just step up when they need to. Early on, they're not being threatened, they're keeping possession. There's no need for them to break out of third or fourth gear at the moment, and if they need to, you feel they could go further up as well. Still Manchester City 0, Everton 0, 7 minutes played.
Thank you very much indeed, Johnny. Let's switch over to Portman Road and have a quick catch up with Patrick Noiret, because by the sounds of things, the away side have started fairly positively.
Yeah, they started very well, actually. They're keeping the ball, they're passing the ball around. Ipswich cannot get near them. They're quite patient, just moving the ball about. They had the first corner and nothing came to that, but they're just dominating the ball. But then you never know with Ipswich because they're not pressing, they're just dropping back. And it's all West Brom at the moment, but no clear chances, I should say. 5 minutes gone, still Ipswich 0, West Brom 0.
Thank you very much indeed, Patrick, one of our other feature games. We just talked very briefly about the game between Tottenham and Brighton, but our other feature game at 4 o'clock is Liverpool against Burnley. So let's have a little listen to what Jurgen Klopp had to say ahead of this game. He was asked a question about the prospect of trialing blue cards in professional football.
We should make it and keep it as simple as somehow possible for the referees as well. So it's a difficult job, we all know that, often quite emotional when we speak about it, because it's most often after the game. And I think introduction of a new card would just give more opportunities to fail as well, because the discussion will be, it was a blue card, should have been a yellow card, now it's 10 minutes off. In the good old times it would have been a red card, or would have been only a yellow, whatever, these kind of things just makes it more complicated. I want to test it, I have no problem with testing, but if that's the first step to agreeing or already being sure that it will happen. But I don't know that, to be honest. I have no idea. I heard yesterday the first time about it. And yeah, doesn't sound like a fantastic idea in the first moment, but actually I can't remember when the last fantastic idea came from these guys.
Very, very philosophical stuff from Jurgen Klopp there. Slightly cynical perspective on the prospect of bringing blue cards into the game. Not particularly impressed at many of the new suggestions he hears when it comes to introducing new laws to the game. I think lots of these laws, as we found a little bit with VAR, you think it's going to simplify the game, and actually it just ends up complicating things a little bit further quite often, doesn't it? But we'll have a little bit more on that a bit later on, because we've got an update to bring you from the Etihad Stadium. A little bit of concern for the home side here, Johnny.
Yeah, City's goalkeeper Ederson has gone down and stayed down. He's getting some treatment on the pitch at the moment. Just as I said that Everton couldn't get the ball away from City, they actually had their first foray forward into the Manchester City box. It was a drilled ball out wide. Dwight McNeil played it across the box. It evaded everybody but found its way to Ashley Young on the other side, who fired it across the box once again. Didn't come to anything. Came back out towards Jack Harrison, played it with Calvert-Lewin 1-2, and then tried to slip a ball through, and it was as the onrushing Everton striker was coming through towards Ederson, who came out, made himself big to spread and get the ball. There was a collision between the two, and it looks like it may have been to the head of Ederson. That's why players stopped. Ederson's still down here, so there's a break in play, and he looks to be now sat upright, which is great to see. Seems to be okay, but it remains to be seen as to whether he can continue today. Manchester City 0, Everton 0, 10 minutes played here.
Thank you, Johnny. Just to give you an update from nairabet.com, the odds on a Manchester City win at the moment are 1.30, so very, very short odds from your laying bookmaker there. Nairabet might be worth sticking that one in an accumulator or that kind of thing to try and squeeze a little bit more value out of it. The draw is 6.0, and a win for Everton, if you do fancy hedging your bets a little bit, a win for Everton in that game is 9.0. So plenty of value to be found there, not necessarily if you fancy a Manchester City win, but if you fancy it to be a 0-0 draw, not only is the draw 6.0, but a 0-0 draw is currently 13.0. So plenty of value to be found there. We're going to get another update from Johnny in a few moments' time. The collision, I think, was with Ben Godfrey, between Ben Godfrey and Ederson. We'll get an update from Johnny in a second, but we're going to catch up with Patrick Holmes at Portman Road, because we just talked about the pressure the away side were applying, and it resulted in a potential opportunity for them. Patrick, tell us more.
Yeah, West Brom are playing very well. They managed to get the ball to the right-hand side. The cross came in from the right-hand side. Thomas ascended, just could not get to it. But the warning signs are there. If Ipswich don't close them down, they're all going to get in. At the moment, 10 gone. It's still Ipswich 0, West Brom 0.
Thank you very much, Patrick Noiret, not Patrick Holmes. It's Johnny Holmes who is our correspondent up at the Etihad Stadium. We're going to cross over to Johnny now because he has got an update on that injury to Ederson, but it looks like everything is possibly on the mend for him.
Yes, absolutely. Ederson is up and about and play continues. It was a clash on the head indeed with Ben Godfrey, as you said, Alex. A through ball from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He was chasing it down 50-50. Absolutely fine for both of them to go for it. There was no intent or malice in the challenge. Just one of those coming togethers, one of those collisions when you're chasing the ball down. Ederson made himself big, but got a little bit of a whack on the back of the head for his troubles. Stayed down for a couple of minutes, but he's now okay in spreading the ball out beautifully out wide to his fullback. So seems to be okay for Ederson. Manchester City 0, Everton 0, 12 minutes played.
Lovely stuff. Thank you very much indeed, Johnny. Johnny Holmes there up at the Etihad Stadium, bringing us updates from the 1:30 kickoff between Manchester City and Everton. Slightly ominous warning signs at the moment for Everton. They are just a little bit on the back foot, although threatening to get away on the counter-attack. Possibly another slightly ominous sign for them is that Manchester City have not lost at home for 15 months. 15 months. That was when Ivan Toney scored twice in a 2-1 Premier League victory for Brentford. And if your maths is better than mine and you're not having to read it off a piece of paper, you will know that that was back in November of 2022. They're unbeaten in all 32 home games in all competitions in that time. Speaking of the title race, or teams in the title race, we just heard from Jurgen Klopp discussing the idea of a blue card. Certainly he seemed very much against it. If you do call AJ in the studio when we hand over back to him for 15 minutes or so in a couple of hours time, let him know, FJ, excuse me, we will let him know what you make of Jurgen Klopp's comments. What do you make of the idea of a blue card? Is it going to simplify things, or is it simply going to complicate things a little bit further? Moving on from Liverpool, though, and on to their opponents this afternoon. Let's have a little hear from Vincent Kompany on what he made of his side's prospective trip to Anfield this afternoon.
No, I've learned as well this year that I'll put it this way. So last year, for example, in the Championship, when we were the bigger team, most away games were really there was an edge to it, you know. And it was similar when I was a player for Man City and we used to go to Anfield and all these other places. But I have to be honest, when you're not the biggest, when you're not the favourites and you're travelling away, quite often, you know, it's the other team who has to create the tempo. It's the other team who has to create the momentum. So that's a little bit of a difference that you have between when you're traveling to these places as a top team and when you're traveling to these places as, you know, the team that they have to be, if that makes sense.
Yes, Vincent, I think that did make sense. He's been very pragmatic, very philosophical all year, hasn't he, really, when talking about his Burnley side. Insists that they will grow as a group and as individuals from their Premier League campaign so far, which has been far from successful. But back to the top of the table and back to the game at the Etihad Stadium, where there has been an opportunity of sorts for Everton. Johnny, tell us more.
Yeah, a few puzzled looks from the Everton players towards their striker, their number 9, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who received the ball in a bit of space on the counter-attack for Everton. They're going to have to take their chances wherever they can because we know City are going to have the bulk of possession. Calvert-Lewin, about 30 yards out from goal, sees Ederson slightly off his line, and I say slightly, it wasn't obvious, and he goes for a very audacious chip from a long way out. He did have an overlapping run from Dwight McNeil on his left-hand side and might have been better off slipping him in instead, but no, he went for the spectacular, got it horribly wrong, way wide of goal. Manchester City 0, Everton 0, 15 minutes played.
Thank you very much, Johnny. Dominic Calvert-Lewin looking to add to his tally of 3 Premier League goals so far this season in slightly overly ambitious, slightly overly enthusiastic fashion there by the sounds of it. Thank you very much, Johnny. Let's cross to Portman Road and get another update from Patrick Noiret. Not Patrick Holmes. Sorry about that, Patrick. I'm, as you can probably tell, not necessarily the best at names when it comes to this job, but thankfully I've got the experts like you on hand to see me right. Tell us about the game.
It's still the same. West Brom are actually dominating, but something quite not weird but curious has happened, that the manager for West Brom just gave a little note to Bartlett. Bartlett is actually going around telling Furlong where he should be and tell all the other players where he should be. So different instructions been sent to the players to do something different, but they've been doing quite well. They've got a corner now with 15 gone. It is still Ipswich 0, West Brom 0.
Thank you very much indeed, Patrick. Nothing happening yet in either of our games, but that doesn't mean there isn't plenty for you to get excited about this weekend. Just to remind you, the games that we're bringing you updates from at the moment are the 1:30 kickoffs between Manchester City and Everton, and Ipswich Town against West Brom in the Championship. Then at 4 o'clock, we are bringing you updates from Liverpool v Burnley. Richard Bond will be at Anfield for us. At the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Jackson Cole will be bringing us updates from Brighton's visit to Tottenham. Tom Cooney will be bringing us updates from Molineux, where Brentford are in town. It's Wolves against Brentford at 4 o'clock. It's also Fulham against Bournemouth. Paul James will be bringing us updates from Craven Cottage. Ash Sandiford will be bringing us updates from Luton Town against Sheffield United. And we will, of course, be bringing you updates from proceedings in Qatar, where it's the Asia Cup final between Jordan and Qatar at the Lusail Stadium in Qatar. Lusail is Qatar's second largest city behind Doha. And in fact, the Lusail Stadium has been the scene of some fairly, what's quite the word I'm looking for, of some fairly significant footballing results throughout history. It was, of course, in use during the 2022 World Cup. It's the stadium where Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia 2-1 in their opening group game. And it was also the stadium where Argentina played Croatia in the semi-final, round out 3-0 victors that day. And it's the same stadium, indeed, where the final was played, where Argentina and France met in that epic contest at the end of December in 2022. And I'm delighted to bring you another goal here on Football Live from Portman Road.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
No goals yet in the Premier League, but there has been a goal in our 1:30 game in the Championship between Ipswich Town and West Bromwich Albion, and it's gone the way of the away side. And we can cross over to Patrick Holmes now. Patrick Noiret. Sorry, Patrick. I promise at some stage I will get your surname right. Tell us about the goal.
It's, you know, that paper I said to you, which the manager gave to all the players, right? And it was given to Furlong. He was the one that scored. It was for attacking. They broke away on the right-hand side, crossed the ball on the left-hand side, 1v1, went into the box, and it's a wonderful right foot shot, bottom right-hand corner. It's a goal, and it's Ipswich 0, West Brom 1. We've got a great game on our hands.
Superb stuff. They've already broken the deadlock at Portman Road. Haven't quite broken the deadlock up at the Etihad Stadium. Let's cross over to Johnny Holmes and get an update, because there was a potential opportunity for the home side a few moments ago, Johnny. In fact, there were two. Tell us about them.
Yeah, Manchester City now starting to turn the screw. They may have seen that Everton have had a few little opportunities and decided to kickstart their match themselves. And forward they came. It was Julian Alvarez running at the Everton defence, putting inside onto his right foot and blasting a shot goalwards. Luckily for Everton fans, it was deflected away. But Jeremy Doku picked up the loose ball, beat one man and did the same thing, had an effort, rifled it goalwards. But once again, it was blocked and cleared away. But Manchester City now having a couple of opportunities, a couple of chances, a couple of strikes on goal. Can they turn that into something worth writing home about? It's Manchester City 0, Everton 0, 21 minutes played.
Thank you very much, Johnny. We'll stick with you for a second, actually, if we can cross back over to Johnny. Johnny, just wondering for Everton fans, you know, they've got this points deduction that's already been implemented on them. They've got another one sort of looming in the background, potentially. Have there been any signs of something to cheer about for Everton fans, aside from that slightly clumsy Dominic Calvert-Lewin chip a few moments ago?
Well, on the counter-attack, they have been somewhat dangerous. There's been a couple of opportunities where they have been running at Manchester City sort of 3-on-3, and there was one 3-on-2. That was the one that Calvert-Lewin rather wasted. It's unfortunate for Everton. I mean, you would say once they got that first points deduction, they're actually having a decent season. If you add that points tally back on, they'd be somewhere around mid-table, and you would be saying this might not be a bad Premier League season to get the deduction because they can still pull their way out of the relegation zone, but they've got another one possibly looming as well, which is very frightening for Everton fans. As for this game, though, a couple of half chances, nothing clear-cut as yet. Manchester City 0, Everton 0, 22 minutes played.
Thank you very much indeed, Johnny. So nothing yet for Everton fans to cheer about at the Etihad Stadium, but I think going into this game, even the most optimistic Toffees fans probably weren't expecting 3 points from this one. Far more crucial games coming up. Their next game after this is against Crystal Palace at home on Monday, the 19th of February. So possibly targeting that one for at least a point, if not 3. This is Football Live.
It's AFCON all the way on Football Live. Come on, you Super Eagles!
Straight down the middle and Nigeria lead.
Yes! I'm a Nigerian! I'm proud of my country.
Second, it's a tap in for Osimhen, and Nigeria now have hit their stride.
You guys were exceptional. You were amazing.
A couple of steps away against Williams, sends Nigeria into the final.
You made our country proud.
Well, comes in, look at that header from Osimhen. He is super dangerous.
Nigeria, let me say it again. We are the bedrock of Africa.
It's Ademola Lookman at the double for Nigeria.
We are bringing the cup back home. Thank you. God bless you.
Good luck to the Super Eagles from everyone at Football Live.
Tomorrow afternoon, Football Live will be here as the build-up to the AFCON final hots up. Top Premier League action as Arsenal go to West Ham in a big London derby. All the AFCON build-up too as the focus turns towards the Super Eagles on a gigantic day of football right here on Briller FM.
Nigeria are the favourites to bring home the trophy. Get involved in NairaBet Super Sunday Special and net yourself a free bet. After a crazy tournament, Osimhen and Nigeria take on the Ivory Coast, and we are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to 500 Naira. Whether you back the Super Eagles or the Elephants, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log in to www.nairabet.com. Bet on the AFCON final, Nigeria versus Ivory Coast. Receive your 100% matched free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match market or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18. Minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
Hello and a very good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon everybody.
Absolute screamer.
Bang in form.
Into dreamland.
Oh my God, they were crying.
What was he doing in the box?
Check my phone, mate. He's not in there.
He looks thoroughly disgusted.
They've been absolutely brilliant. That's a problem.
So much to tell you about.
So much going on.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
In the Premier League, you just never know.
You are listening to Football Live on Briller FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM. Let's get back to the action and the AFCON final build-up. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live, cheering on the Super Eagles to AFCON glory with Alex Guilford.
Yes, welcome back to Football Live. We are indeed wishing Nigeria the very best of luck in their AFCON final tomorrow afternoon against the Ivory Coast. It will be, it's going to be a tough contest, I think, that one, but we have every faith in the Super Eagles, and we believe that they can lift the trophy and bring home the points. Back in the Premier League, however, it's currently still Manchester City 0, Everton 0. The odds on nairabet.com at the moment tell me that a home victory is drifting out ever so slightly as the game wears on without a goal. Manchester City have gone from 1.2 at the start of the game for a home win. It's now 1.36. The draw is 5.0 and away win is 9.0. Let's cross to Johnny Holmes because, Johnny, I think you've been fairly impressed with the way Everton have actually defended so far.
I have been, and I think Sean Dyche will be as well. And I think he will have enjoyed the manner in which Calvert-Lewin just wrestled Rodri to the ground as he tried to get away. And the free kick, in fact, has gone Calvert-Lewin's way. So Dyche will be very happy with that. And the free kick is about to be swung in. But Everton have defended resolutely. We spoke, didn't we, Alex, about how do the fans have anything to cheer about? Is it all gloom and doom? But Everton have defended really well. There was a cracking tackle by Tarkowski on Foden, who tried to beat him on the left-hand side. Tarkowski came clattering in, but won all of the ball and only a little bit of the man on the afters as he slid through. So I think Dyche will be relatively happy. City haven't had any clear-cut chances. Doku tried to swing a ball in a moment ago, but it was cleared resolutely by the Everton defence. Nothing clear-cut for Man City. 0-0 here, 27 minutes played.
Thank you very much indeed, Johnny. Let's cross over to Patrick Noiret at Portman Road, because there's been a chance for the home side to level. Patrick, tell us more.
Yeah, it should have been 1-1. Now Ipswich are coming back more into the game now. They're keeping the ball, being patient. They managed to move the ball to the left-hand side. A wonderful cross came in and Chaplin left foot over the bar. It should have been 1-1, but it's not. It's Ipswich 0, West Brom 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Patrick. Let's go back to the Etihad Stadium, because Erling Haaland's just had a decent chance to put Manchester City ahead. Johnny Holmes, tell us more.
Yeah, probably City's best chance of the game so far. Actually fell to the one man you'd want it to fall to. Or would you? Because last time out, Erling Haaland against Brentford, he had a couple of chances when he came on late, couldn't take them, and then had this sort of bemused expression, almost half laughing at himself. And he's doing it again here. It's whipped in from the left-hand side by Jeremy Doku onto the head of Erling Haaland. It's a little bit too high for him, and I wonder if there was a shout from Phil Foden, who was charging in behind, and it looks like Haaland rather takes it off the boot of Foden, trying to lunge forward, jump high and get the header in. It just hits the top of his head and balloons over the bar, and there's that sort of bemused look from Haaland as he looks at Phil Foden, who wasn't happy, had a bit of a tantrum. Why didn't you leave it for me? He didn't leave it for him, and as things stand, it's still Manchester City 0, Everton 0 after 29 minutes.
Thank you very much, Johnny Holmes. Interesting, isn't it, that Erling Haaland hasn't quite been able to rediscover his best form yet for Manchester City. I suppose he's only been back for a couple of games, really. He injured his foot against Aston Villa back in December and just hasn't quite been able to click just yet. I suppose the absence of Kevin De Bruyne hasn't particularly helped him in that sense. He's on the bench this afternoon, as is Kyle Walker. In slightly, it's one of those, if you play fantasy football as I do, one of those slightly frustrating pet rotations, pet roulette, as they sometimes call it in the game. Nonetheless, hot on Liverpool's tails are Manchester City, and a victory would see them leapfrog Liverpool into first place and would see them put a 2-point gap between themselves and Arsenal, who are, of course, Arsenal are playing tomorrow against West Ham United away at West Ham at the Millennium Stadium. But let's have a little listen to what Mikel Arteta said earlier in the week. The question was put to him whether or not he had over-celebrated his side's victory at home to Liverpool last weekend, in which his Arsenal side, the Gunners, rounded out 3-1 winners. Let's hear what Arteta had to say about that.
No, but I love it because I've seen managers at the Emirates away on their knees inside the pitch. I've seen very big managers walking into the pitch. I've seen managers going across the touchline. I've seen that all in the Premier League. And personally, I love it because it brings such a passion and emotion to the game. When it's done in a natural way and unique way, I think it's great. But it's my opinion, and a lot of people maybe have something very different to mine.
Interesting there from Mikel Arteta, isn't it? He's adamant that he should be able to show a little bit of passion on the sides, on the sideline when his side do well. I can't say I particularly disagree with him there. It's a very, very British thing, I think, to sort of accuse people of over-celebrating. It'd be interesting to hear what our listeners in Nigeria have to think about that when they give FJ a call when we go to a break. We'll be crossing over to him in about an hour's time. Sorry, in about 20 minutes time for a reasonable length, and then we'll be going for a slightly longer period in an hour and a bit's time. We're going to hear from Marco Silva in a second, but before we do that, we're going to have a chat with Johnny Holmes, because there's been another chance for the home side. They still haven't managed to break the deadlock, though. Tell us more, Johnny.
Yeah, still no goals here, but Manchester City are having a few chances now. Everton still defending relatively well, though, I would say. Phil Foden does really, really well on the right-hand side, beats his man and slides a really nice through ball, taking a couple of players out of the game. It works its way through to Matheus Nunes, who, of course, is coming in for Kevin De Bruyne. Big shoes to fill. He had a shot that was deflected over the bar and behind for a corner. It looked like it might be troubling Jordan Pickford in goal if not blocked. It was blocked, went behind for a corner which was whipped in, came to nothing, nodded away. Manchester City have possession on the edge of the box once again. They're looking for that opening goal. It's still 0-0 here, 32 minutes played.
Thank you very much, Johnny. If you do fancy a bet on that one, Manchester City are now 1.4 for a home victory. 4.75 is the draw, and 9.5 an away victory. And perhaps unlikely, as the odds would suggest, Everton victory, but the odds on a goalless draw have absolutely plummeted. They were 13.0 a few minutes ago. They're now only 8.0, so they've almost halved. All odds are from nairabet.com and are, of course, subject to change, so please do bear that in mind. City have enjoyed 80% possession so far in that game to Everton's 20, but we've just about previewed all of our later games involving the title race. Let's have a little listen now to Marco Silva, who had an interesting word or two to say about two of his players who will be absent from his side's contest against Bournemouth this afternoon, because they will, of course, be representing Nigeria and in the Africa Cup of Nations final tomorrow afternoon. Those are, of course, Alex Iwobi and Calvin Bassey.
Okay, if they are now there playing the final, of course, all of us, we are supporting them. Is a moment, it's going to be a game. As you know, he's a Portuguese coach as well, Portuguese manager there, of course. I have contact with him. I have contact with, of course, Calvin and Alex too. Good relationship with the coach as well. And of course, we are supporting them because it's just a final. If you ask me, probably 3-4 weeks ago, I wanted really that to come back as quick as possible.
Yeah, it's Marco Silva there sending his best wishes to Alex Iwobi and Calvin Bassey for Nigeria's final in the Africa Cup of Nations tomorrow afternoon against Ivory Coast. Let's go back to Johnny Holmes, because Everton, we've just been commending their defending. They've had to dig in and defend pretty robustly of late. Johnny Holmes, tell us more.
Yeah, they have. It's been a case of anywhere will do for Everton now, as Manchester City are firing cross after cross and also taking the odd shot at the Everton goal. Jeremy Doku's been a threat on the left-hand side, beating his man, all ends up several times. He's giving Ben Godfrey a bit of a lesson here on the left-hand side, but he's not been able to quite find that cutting-edge ball into the box. They are being deflected away, cleared away. Everton scrapping and defending for their lives here, and it was relieved, the pressure in the end, by a very crafty back pass by Jared Branthwaite. Whipped in was the cross, and he sort of diving chests it back to his goalkeeper Jordan Pickford to relieve the pressure, and forwards City will come again. It's 0-0, 35 minutes played.
Thank you very much indeed, Johnny. We've got our fingers crossed that there will be a goal there before too long. It sounds like one is certainly in the offing. Meanwhile, at Portman Road, there has already been a goal, but no sign of a second one just yet. Patrick Noiret, tell us how's the game unfolded since that goal for West Bromwich Albion?
With regard to possession, it's been even Stevens, basically. Both teams losing the ball and cannot keep the ball. But before you just came to me, West Brom tried to play out. They gave the ball away, and Messi took a shot which went wide. So if they're going to get back into this Ipswich, they're going to have to rely on West Brom making a mistake. At the moment, one shot on goal from West Ham, Ipswich no shot on goal, so they have to do something different. At the moment, with 34 gone, Ipswich 0, West Bromwich Albion 1.
Thank you very much, Patrick Noiret. If you do fancy a flutter on the game in the championship game between Ipswich and West Brom, which kicked off at 1:30, and Ipswich victory is now 4.2 after West Brom took the lead earlier in the half. The draw is 3.3, and an away victory for West Brom is much the shorter of the result outcomes. It's 1.95 at the moment if you fancy West Brom to make good on their early lead in that game and see it out. Erling Haaland to score first at the moment in the game between Manchester City and Everton is 3.5. Julian Alvarez to score first. He's been such an important player for Manchester City since joining last year, hasn't he? He's 7.0 to score first, and it sounds like he nearly got off the mark. Let's cross over to Johnny Holmes and get an update, because Julian Alvarez, who I was just mentioning there, Johnny, has come close.
Yeah, if you'd have taken a bet on this particular odds there for Alvarez to score first, you would have been jumping out of your seat for a second. It looked like he was in on goal. A lovely through ball towards him, and he's running in, and then out of nowhere, out comes Jordan Pickford very, very smartly to deny him. Just on the edge of the box, he had to get that one right. If he'd have got it wrong, it could well have been a penalty to Man City, but he was out smartly to deny Alvarez. And a shot has just come in from Jack Harrison. Should have done better here. A chance for Everton, probably their best of the game. Ashley Young had it on the right-hand side, fired a cross in that came back out to Harrison inside the box, and he gets it woefully wrong on the half volley, tries to side foot it. He's looking for that top corner. He probably found the top of row Z instead. Man City 0, Everton 0, 38 minutes played.
Thank you very much, Johnny. Superb stuff as always. A Man City victory, just to remind you, is 1.4 on nairabet.com. The draw 4.5. An away win, a victory for Everton 9.5. All odds from nairabet.com and are, of course, subject to change. Just to bring you scores from elsewhere in the world of football, in the Turkish Super League at the moment, it's Karagümrük 0, Pendispor 0. 2.0 for a home win there, 3.4 for the draw, 3.75 for an away win. In La Liga, the game between Alaves and Villarreal has just got underway. It's still 0-0 with 9 minutes played. If you fancy an Alaves victory there, it's 2.38 for the home side to win. 3.3 is the draw, and 3.2 for an away win. A Villarreal win, that's 3.2. So not much to pick between these two sides at the moment. There is a slight differential at Portman Road. Let's have a chat to Patrick Noiret, because there's been a chance for the home side to draw level, but they haven't quite been able to take it. Patrick?
No, not yet. I tell you what, they're now, for some reason, the last 5 minutes, keeping the ball quite well. They've gone 3 at the back, 5 in midfield to up top, and that's giving them that possession. And what happened, they moved the ball to the right-hand side, and Barnes got hold of it, and he took a shot, but goalie saved it. So they're getting closer and closer. So we'll have to wait. 38 gone. Ipswich 0, West Brom 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Patrick. It's still 0-0 at the Etihad Stadium in our feature game of the early kickoffs between Manchester City and Everton. Ipswich Town against West Bromwich Albion is currently 1-0 to the away side. And just to remind you that from 4 p.m, we will bring you updates from all of the Premier League games kicking off at that time. There's no fewer than 6 of them. Liverpool against Burnley, Tottenham against Brighton, Wolves against Brentford, Fulham against Bournemouth, and Luton Town against Sheffield United, which of course is only 5 Premier League games, but our 6th game is coming from Qatar in the Asia Cup final between Jordan and the host nation Qatar. Qatar looking to become only the 5th side in Asia Cup history to retain the trophy, winning back-to-back titles. Let's cross back to the Etihad Stadium. Let's just see if we can eke something out of Johnny Holmes. Johnny, it sounds like Manchester City have been dominant on the ball. They had a flourish of chances a few moments ago, but since then, what's it been? All possession?
Well, I feel like Everton are trying to eke something out of this game because they've got possession of the ball at the moment. And City, whilst they did have those chances earlier on, it's kind of slowed down for them. And I think Everton have got a little bit of a foothold in the game. Just some odds to bring you as well. Over 2.5 goals is currently at 2.38, and over 3.5 goals is currently at 4.50. So if you fancy a flutter on any of those, people are expecting goals here. We haven't got one yet. Will we see one in the first half? Man City 0, Everton 0, 41 minutes played here.
Thank you very much indeed, Johnny. Of course, all odds are from NairoBet and are subject to change. Over 2.5 goals, as Johnny just told us, is 2.38. Over 3.5 is 4.5. From your laying bookmaker there, NairoBet. All odds, as I say, are available on nairabet.com and are, of course, subject to change. So please do bear that in mind. No sign of the deadlock being broken then just yet at the Etihad Stadium. So let's have a little look forwards to this afternoon's third and fourth place playoff between South Africa and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Percy Tau has been South Africa's talismanic player throughout much of the tournament. He's certainly been their most creative player, the most threatening player in the final third. Heartbreaking loss for them on penalties on Wednesday night. Goalkeeper Ronwen Williams unable this time round to save his side in the penalty shootout, having saved 4 in the previous round. Let's have a little listen to what Percy Tau had to say on the loss to Nigeria on Wednesday night.
It's sad right now. It doesn't matter how we played. It was going to be nice if we won this one and we had the chances. But right now, congrats to Nigeria and all the best to them in the final. And now we'll go again. We'll try out for the third place. Hopefully we'll take something home. But then with the penalty, sometimes it happens that it's not your day. He saved us the last time and then we're still happy with him. And then congratulations to Nigeria. I think that's all I can say.
Yes, many congratulations to Nigeria there from Percy Tau. You have to say, if you look at the squads of players available for either side, South Africa certainly were punching above their weight in their ability to get even as far as extra time in that game, never mind to run Nigeria as close as they did in a penalty shootout. Most of South Africa's starting lineup will play for Mamelodi Sundowns in South Africa. And the rest of the squad, more or less, with a couple of exceptions, certainly most of them play their football in South Africa, whereas Nigeria have just got such a wealth of attacking and defensive talent at their disposal now. You think of Victor Osimhen, the standout player in Serie A last season. Hasn't quite worked out for him in quite the same way as it did last year, but he's got a new manager, obviously, who certainly has plenty of faith in him. And we know that Super Eagles fans have plenty of faith in him as well. In a few moments' time, we'll hear from the Nigeria captain William Troost-Ekong about his side's victory over South Africa. But before we do that, let's head to Portman Road and have a catch-up with Patrick Noirette, because there's been a chance for the home side once again, Patrick, and once again they haven't been able to take their chance.
No, they haven't. They changed the tactic from West Brom. They sort of let Ipswich have the ball. And they just drop him back. But what happened? They dropped back, and the ball came to Clark, who took a shot from outside the box, but got a corner out of it. So with 43 gone, it is still Ipswich 0, West Brom 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Patrick. 3 minutes of injury time have been called at the Etihad Stadium, just as Phil Foden has whipped in a free kick with pace. Johnny Holmes, tell us about it. They couldn't quite keep it in.
Yeah, it was a dangerous free kick, dangerous area for the free kick that Phil Foden had an opportunity to whip the ball in, and he did so vigorously and with pace, as you say, but it couldn't be kept in. Akanji tried to get a foot on it as it was blasted goalwards, but not on target. I think it was more one of those where you're just trying to invite your players to get something on it and divert it goalwards. Akanji tries to do that, but he couldn't quite keep it in play, and it does end up being a goal kick for Everton. And City just had a slight chance to break away there. A lax pass from the Everton defence gives it away, and it comes out wide for Doku, but he couldn't quite square it in the way that he wanted to and make the most of that that opportunity. So yes, 3 minutes added on here. We've played 45 and it's still 0-0 between Manchester City and Everton.
Thank you very much, Johnny. Just interestingly, if you did have a little flutter on Manuel Akanji to score first for Manchester City, you'd get 23.0 at the moment on nairabet.com. Given Manchester City's obviously we talk all the time about their technical proficiency over most other sides they come up against, but they are sort of a big physical team, or certainly have some big physical players in their lineup, don't they? So maybe free kicks, given what a difficult time they've had breaking Everton's defence down, maybe free kicks and set pieces will prove to be the deciding factor in that game. There are the words I was looking for. Just a minute or so of normal time left to play in that one. Just about to give you the odds, but they've just been suspended, so perhaps a chance coming the way of one of these sides as we speak. Odds suspended on nairabet.com. All the odds I mentioned, of course, are available on nairabet.com and are subject to change. Let's cross over to Patrick Noiret, because the first half is winding to a close at Portman Road. Patrick.
Yeah, it is, and it seems to me that they both now probably settle for what they've got at the moment and maybe come out and Ipswich try to do something different. But at the moment, still, Ipswich got possession of the ball with West Brom just dropping back. 45 with 2 to play, with 1 to play, I would say. It is still Ipswich 0, West Brom 1.
Thank you very much, Patrick. So a home victory is now 4.5. That's for Ipswich to turn this around. Currently a goal down at home to West Brom. The draw is 3.1 and an away victory, shortening as the clock ticks down towards half-time. That's now 2.0. Betting was suspended briefly in the game between Manchester City and Everton. Nothing's come of it yet, but Johnny Holmes has got an update for us of a chance for the home side, which once again they've squandered.
Yeah, it's a heroic piece of defending, in fact, from Everton. Once again, Branthwaite and James Tarkowski have just been throwing themselves in front of everything. A chance fell to Manuel Akanji in the box, an unlikely character for the chance to drop to. Corner was whipped in and it fell to him, and he took the shot. It was blocked. It looked for a second like they were possibly going to check it for handball, but no way, in my opinion. The hand is close to the body, not in an unnatural position at all. It does strike the arm, but he can't move out the way. It's into the body, chucked in, and if his arm's not there, he's blocking it with his chest anyway. Correct decision, nothing given, and it remains Manchester City 0, Everton 0. In fact, we've just gone for half-time here.
Thank you very much indeed, Johnny. We'll get your half-time report in just a few moments' time. Manchester City knocking on the door. We did talk earlier whether there would be something to cheer for Everton fans. It certainly sounds like their players are putting their bodies on the line for their side this afternoon. Some heroic defending taking place at the Etihad Stadium, particularly, as you would probably expect, by the visiting Everton players. That game is 0-0 at the moment, and just to remind you, it's 1.5 for the home victory for Manchester City, 3.75 for the draw, 10.0 now for the Everton win. All odds on nairabet.com and are subject to change. Half-time whistle has been blown at Portman Road. Patrick Noiret, tell us more.
Well, there's 1-0 at the moment at half-time for West Brom. Now, the game started, I would say, that West Brom on the front foot. They took the game to Ipswich. Didn't really have any chances until Ipswich got into their half. They managed to win the ball. It was a wonderful ball, crossfield ball by Wyman. Fellows basically took on the left, the right back, cut inside and the right foot and made it 1-0 on 18 minutes. And after that, Ipswich tried. They got a shot on target, but nothing much from it. At the moment, it's basically at half-time, it's Ipswich 0, West Brom 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Patrick. We'll be hearing from you again in 15 minutes' time or so. Let's have a catch-up then with Johnny Holmes, who is at the Etihad Stadium for us. It's half-time there now, Johnny. 0-0. Slightly frustrating one, possibly, for the home side, and some heroic defending from the away side. So no goals, but plenty of incident.
Yeah, no goals, but a lot to talk about, and particularly about the defending from Sean Dyche's side. I mean, if it finishes this way at the end of the 90 minutes, we'll be discussing a Sean Dyche masterclass. He'll be delighted with the way that his players have gone in the way of shots and cleared away crosses, putting their bodies on the line time and time again. Yes, Manchester City have had all the possession, 82% of it, in fact. A couple of half chances for them, Erling Haaland ballooning a header over, and late on in the half, Manuel Akanji had a shot blocked heroically once again. But Everton are hanging on, and it's still 0-0 between the two sides, and I think Sean Dyche would be perfectly happy with that. Still 0-0 at the Etihad.
Thank you very much, Johnny. We'll be hearing from Johnny Holmes, our senior reporter from the Etihad Stadium, in about 15 minutes time or so, once the second half of that game between Manchester City and Everton has got underway. Superb work from Johnny and Patrick, my senior reporters this afternoon, keeping an eye on me as our early Premier League and Championship games get underway. No break in the deadlock between Manchester City and Everton, but a goal for West Brom, the away side, West Brom at Portman Road. You nearly had the halftime jingles being played there. We're not quite ready for it yet, but just to remind you, at 4 o'clock, we've got Liverpool v Burnley coming up with Richard Bond. We've got Tottenham against Brighton, Wolves v Brentford, Fulham v Bournemouth, Luton Town against Sheffield United, and that all-important Asia Cup final between Jordan and Qatar. Those games all kicking off at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Don't go anywhere, though, because for the next 3.5 hours or so, we will be bringing you all the updates from all those games and indeed our earlier kickoffs. This is Football Live.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Alex Guilford.
Hello, yes, welcome back to Football Live with me, Alex Guilford. The second halves have barely kicked off in our 1:30 kickoffs, and I can already announce that there has been a goal at Portman Road.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
That's right. Ipswich have pulled one back very early in the second half in their game at home to West Brom. Fifth place West Brom visit fourth place Ipswich Town. West Brom took the lead early in the first half, but the home side have levelled, which is obviously excellent news for Patrick Noiret, who is our correspondent at Portman Road this afternoon. And indeed, Patrick can give us an update already. Patrick, tell us how the goal unfolded.
You know, both teams play football, right? Lovely football on the ground. What this was, a long throw on the right-hand side. The ball was headed back in. The ball was headed back in again. And then you had Broadhead on the half volley. Goal. So with 46 gone, Ipswich 1, West Brom 1. Let me tell you about a change as well. West Brom's made a change at the back. Bartlett's come off, and Shalaba, of course, is coming in the back now. So now we've got game on. It's Ipswich 1, West Brom 1, 46 gone.
Thank you very much, Patrick Noiret, for that update there. And thank you indeed to FJ for manning the ship for 10 minutes or so. I did catch wind of his little piece of AFCON trivia for me. How many times have DR Congo and South Africa met at the Africa Cup of Nations in the past? Well, as you well know, FJ, thanks to producer John, the wonderful producer John, our preparation for our show this afternoon was nothing short of perfect. And therefore, I can tell you, of course, largely thanks to the fine work from producer John, who told me before the games had got underway this afternoon, who briefed me before the show that this will be the third time these sides meet in the Africa Cup of Nations. They've met twice before, therefore. Very good luck indeed to fans of both of those sides, and indeed good luck to you Super Eagles tomorrow night in your final between against Ivory Coast. The Elephants of the Ivory Coast are in, well, you're in town actually, aren't you? You're officially the away side, Ivory Coast the host nation this year. We'll have a little bit more on the we'll hear from Nigeria's captain in a few moments' time, but not before we've crossed to the Etihad Stadium, because there is the small matter of the Premier League to get through before the Africa Cup of Nations games get underway this evening and tomorrow. Johnny Holmes is at the Etihad Stadium, of course, where Everton are visiting Manchester City. Johnny, you haven't played much of the second half, but there's already been an early chance.
Yeah, straight off the kickoff, in fact, Alex, the chance fell to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, a half chance, I would say, from distance. Straight from the kickoff, forward came Everton, and he sort of scuffed the shot slightly, I would say, wide of the goal. But warning signs for City straight away, and they've responded with possession completely since that moment. And it feels like we're just picking up from where we left off at the end of the first half, where, of course, City tried to bombard the Everton goal, but the defence stood resolutely and didn't really afford City any chances on goal. We'll see if they can continue to be as stout in their defences in this second half. It is 0-0, 49 minutes played.
Thank you very much indeed, Johnny Holmes, our senior reporter, reporting from the Etihad Stadium this afternoon, where it is still goalless in the early kickoff, the 1:30 kickoff between Manchester City and Everton. Just before we crossed to either game, we were briefly discussing the small matter of the Africa Cup of Nations, which reaches its climax this weekend with the third and fourth place playoff between DR Congo and South Africa this evening. And then tomorrow it's Nigeria against Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire. Apologies for those of you who don't like us English speakers anglicizing countries' names like that, but it's Nigeria against Cote d'Ivoire tomorrow night. And let's have a little listen to what Nigeria captain William Troost Ekong had to say in the wake of Nigeria's hard-fought victory on penalties against South Africa on Wednesday night.
No, I think that's an emotional roller coaster, and I think it makes the AFCON very exciting. And yeah, I think also they deserve probably something in the game because they had some good chances and they played well. So yeah, I'm happy that we won it, but yeah, we have to give credit to South Africa as well. You know, I think one step closer to our dream. I'm very, very overwhelmed with emotion as well, but I'm very happy with the team, very proud of the performance. It wasn't easy. South Africa were fantastic this tournament, deserved to be in the semi-final. And yeah, for us to now win the game on penalties after everyone was saying that we shouldn't let it get to penalties, I think is something that we should be proud of. But hopefully we won't have to do that again.
Nigeria captain there, William Troost Ekong, praising his side's resilience in the wake of their penalty shootout victory against South Africa on Wednesday night. Very much looking forward to that contest tomorrow evening. Did describe it as a bit of an emotional roller coaster. Of course, there was plenty for his side to think about in that penalty shootout, given the form not only of Ronwen Williams on the pitch, but in the penalty shootouts in the previous round, where he saved 4 of 5 penalties. Nigeria had to show real mental resolve in their bid to get through on that game on penalties. So congratulations, many congratulations once again to Nigeria. They are, in the words of their captain William Troost Ekong, one step closer to achieving their dream. And everyone here at Football Live, we have got our fingers crossed for you guys tomorrow evening. Meanwhile, in the Premier League this afternoon, it's still currently goalless between Manchester City and Everton, and our other 1:30 game between Ipswich and West Brom is currently 1-1. The home side, Ipswich, have just levelled. If you fancy a bet on that one on NairoBet at the moment, they have a home win for Ipswich Town, 2.3. That's priced up at 2.3 now. So that's really come in since they equalised. 2.4 is the draw. If you think the score will either stay as it is, or if both sides will score the same number of goals moving forward. An away win now, 4.75. So West Brom's chances of winning that contest or coming away even with a point pretty severely dented now that Ipswich have equalised. All odds are available on nairabet.com and are, of course, subject to change, so do bear that in mind. Let's have a little chat with Patrick Noiret, who is enjoying a much more open game now at Portman Road. Patrick, tell us more.
Yeah, since Ipswich scored that goal now, it seems to me the game's become more open. I think before West Brom were quite happy to just sit back on their 1-0 and thought, you know what, we'll just try him on the break. But it's both teams now giving away the ball, and we're not getting clear chances, but they're getting nearer to the goal. So with 53 gone, it is still Ipswich 1, West Brom 1, but with a more open game.
Thank you very much, Patrick. I will stay with you for just a second if we can. I don't want to be too controversial on the show, but Patrick, you've been enjoying watching this game without the added complication of VAR, you were saying in the chat.
Yeah, I say that because they were showing a playback of the actual goal, and I said to you it was like head tennis. But when one of the Ipswich players went up to head the ball hit his thumb. So VAR would have been handball. so it is enjoyable to watch it because it's not a stop and start, and when the goal scored, it's not double checked. So with 53 gone, it is still Ipswich 1, West Brom 1, but Ipswich just had one more chance well over the bar. It's getting better, this game.
Good stuff. Thank you very much indeed, Patrick Noiret. We'll hopefully be crossing back to you with some more updates as the game continues to unfold. Meanwhile, at the Etihad, it is currently goalless between Manchester City and Everton. But Johnny Holmes, there's a break in play, a potential injury concern for the away side.
Yeah, Ben Godfrey has gone down for Everton. Not 100% sure what caused it as yet. Seemed to be quite innocuous, but they can sometimes be the alluring ones, you know, where you don't quite see firsthand what happened, but it might be a muscle strain. He does seem to be getting to his feet, but it's a good chance to reflect on the half so far. And Jeremy Doku's been a fantastic outlet for Manchester City. I can see why Pep Guardiola brought him to the side. A lot of City's players, very technical, great passing ability and technical ability, but Doku's very direct. He can take his man on, he's got pace, he can beat his man and fire across or cut in and go for a shot, and City haven't got many outlets like that, and it's good to see that he's been in the game once again, drilling across a very dangerous cross that Julian Alvarez nearly got on the end of, but it was deflected away from him before he could. I think Doku's been one of the better players, but I'll hand back to you, Alex. I think there's been a goal.
There has indeed. Johnny, thank you very much. There's been another goal at Portman Road.
The goals, powered by Nairabet.
We were just saying that West Brom looked like they stood less of a chance in this game after Ipswich had equalised. We just thought they'd gone 2-1 up, but the goal unfortunately has been disallowed. So false alarm, everybody. Sorry about that. The score remains 1-1. Let's cross over to Patrick Noiret and get an update. Patrick, what happened?
Interesting, this one. You know what I was talking about, handball and VAR. On this one, West Brom had a long throw, and what happened is a clear handball. It was a long throw, right? And the player went on the left-hand side. He actually handballed it instead of heading it. It's Wyman. He got a booking for handball. He put his hand next to his head, but actually pushed the ball in his hand. So it is still, with 56 gone, Ipswich 1, West Brom 1.
A valiant effort. I'm sure we were just saying how nice it was not to have VAR in that game, or certainly for you, as far as you're concerned, Patrick. If that goal had been allowed, of course, they'd all be crowing for VAR to be introduced in the Championship, but none of that for now. Meanwhile, I mentioned earlier that I was disappointed that Pep Roulette had got the better of me this afternoon and my fantasy league team, because Kevin De Bruyne and Kyle Walker had both been rested to the Manchester City bench. But let's have a catch up with Johnny Holmes, because there's good news for me, Johnny.
Yeah, good news for the FPL there, because we've got De Bruyne and Walker coming on, and it feels a bit like Pep is throwing the cavalry on now. He hasn't got his goal in the first 57 minutes. He sees the threat of dropping a couple of points here. Sean Dyche just sets his team up very well, defending resolutely, and it does seem that City now need to bring on the big guns to try and get something out of this game. So yes, indeed, De Bruyne is coming on, as is Kyle Walker. Akanji has come off, as has Matheus Nunes, as City try and get that opening goal. 0-0, 58 minutes played.
Thank you very much, Johnny. If you do fancy Kevin De Bruyne to score first in that game, he is 13.0 on nairabet.com at the moment to score anytime. He's 7.0. A Manchester City win is 1.5. The draw is 3.5, and an away win for Everton is 11.0. All odds available on nairabet.com and are, of course, subject to change. Let's cross back over to Portman Road, because Patrick Noiret has got an update on a substitution for the away side. Patrick.
Yeah, a couple of tactical changes for West Brom. Fellows and Asante, of course, Fellows scored. Goal and Asante has come up now. Johnson, like for like, centre forward, and Dyke in midfielders on the left-hand side will come on. So at the moment, make changes tactically. Let's see what happens. 58 done, still Ipswich 1, West Brom 1.
Thank you very much indeed. Patrick, just to remind you of the other scores that we brought to you earlier in the Turkish Super League. Karagümrük are now a goal up at home to Pendikspor. That's 1.33 on nairabet.com for the home win, given that they are a goal up. Perhaps unsurprising to see the odds that short. 4.5 is the draw. 10.0 for Pendikspor to turn it around and leave Karagümrük with a victory with all 3 points. In La Liga, the game between Alaves and Villarreal is now 1-1, so 1 goal apiece there. An Alaves home victory is 2.70, the draw 2.5, and an away win is 3.75. All odds available on nairabet.com, and as I said before, are of course all subject to change. Don't forget that at 4 o'clock we have got we've got 6 fixtures to bring you, 5 of which are in the Premier League. An absolute bumper edition of Football Live this afternoon. Fulham against Bournemouth, Liverpool at home to Burnley, Luton Town host Sheffield United, Tottenham Hotspur play Brighton and Hove Albion. Particularly interesting contest, I think, probably that one. Not that any of them are not interesting games actually this afternoon. And the 5th and final Premier League game is Wolverhampton Wanderers at home to Brentford at 4 p.m. Of course, before the late kickoff today at 6:30 in Nigeria, that's Nottingham Forest at home to Newcastle United. Before tomorrow, West Ham host Arsenal and Aston Villa host Manchester United. But we mentioned Wolves against Brentford a few moments ago. Let's have a little listen to Gary O'Neill, who in the build-up to this game was celebrating a contract extension awarded to his Italian centre-back Totti.
Yeah, I think the journey that Totti's been on, from the club recruiting him for the amount that they did, to the work that he's done every day since he's been here to get himself as an extremely credible option for a Premier League team, to now sort of being a regular starter and one that we rely on heavily and has a real good, important role within the group. Yeah, I saw, obviously I knew that the contract stuff was going on, but when I sort of saw it yesterday, it gave me a big smile, because he's worked extremely hard.
Gary O'Neill extremely chuffed to see his talismanic centre-back, really, I think it's fair to call him now, Totti, sign a contract extension at Molineux. Let's cross over to Patrick Noiret at Portman Road, because there's been a chance for the home side to put themselves ahead for the first time in the game, Patrick.
Yeah, it was a wonderful move, actually. They passed away about 4 or 5 passes near the box, and Chaplin got hold of it. Wonderful shot, but wonderful save by the keeper. Still, 61 gone. Ipswich 1, West Brom 1. Ipswich getting closer with their possession.
Ipswich dominating the ball, and just threatening West Bromwich Albion's goal a little more frequently, or certainly threatening to threaten the goal, if that's not too ridiculous a sentence to say. A little bit more than West Brom are threatening theirs. Anyway, at the Etihad, it is still goalless. Manchester City have amassed 11 shots so far in that game. Haven't got a single one of them on target yet, though, while Everton have only had 4 shots, but they have at least managed to steer one of those on target. Just to remind you of the odds on nairabet.com in either game. They still fancy a Manchester City victory at the Etihad Stadium this afternoon, but it is drifting the price. It's now 1.53, having opened at 1.20 just before kickoff. 3.3 is now the draw, and 11.0 an away win. Meanwhile, the game at Portman Road between Ipswich and West Brom is 2.6 for an Ipswich win, 2.1 the draw. That now seems the most likely outcome according to Nairabet, and it's 5.25 for the away win for West Brom. Don't forget, all odds are available on nairabet.com and are of course subject to change. This is Football Live.
It's AFCON all the way on Football Live. Come on, you Super Eagles!
Straight down the middle and Nigeria lead.
Yes! I'm a Nigerian! I'm proud of my country.
Second, it's a tap-in for Osimhen, and Nigeria now have hit their stride.
You guys were exceptional. You were amazing.
Couple of steps away against Williams, sends Nigeria into the final.
You made our country proud.
Well, comes in, look at that header from Osimhen. He is super dangerous.
Nigeria, let me say it again. We are the bedrock of Africa.
It's Ademola Lookman at the double for Nigeria.
We are bringing the cup back home. Thank you. God bless you.
Good luck to the Super Eagles from everyone at Football Live.
Tomorrow afternoon, Football Live will be here as the build-up to the AFCON final hots up. Top Premier League action as Arsenal go to West Ham in a big London derby. All the AFCON build-up too as the focus turns towards the Super Eagles on a gigantic day of football right here on Brilla FM.
Nigeria are the favourites to bring home the trophy. Get involved in Nairabet Super Sunday Special and net yourself a free bet. After a crazy tournament, Osimhen and Nigeria take on the Ivory Coast, and we are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to 500 Naira. Whether you back the Super Eagles or the Elephants, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log in to www.nairabet.com. Bet on the AFCON final, Nigeria versus Ivory Coast. Receive your 100% matched free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match market or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18. Minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
Hello and a very good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody.
Absolute screamer.
Banging form
Into dreamland.
Oh my God, they were crying.
What was he doing in the box?
Check my phone, mate. He's not in there.
He looks thoroughly disgusted.
They've been absolutely brilliant. That's proper.
So much to tell you about.
So much going on.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
In the Premier League, you just never know.
You are listening to Football Live on Brilla FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM. Let's get back to the action and the AFCON final build-up. Powered by Nairabet. This is Football Live, cheering on the Super Eagles to AFCON glory with Alex Guilford.
Yes, welcome back to Football Live here on Brilla FM 88.9 FM in Nigeria, on the app and on the website brilla.net. Good luck, as we say, to Nigeria in tomorrow night's Africa Cup of Nations final against Ivory Coast. I'm just having a little scour on nairabet.com at the odds for that game. At the moment, it's pretty tight between the two sides, but Nigeria are very fractional favourites on nairabet.com at the moment. The win, a home win in 90 minutes for them, is 2.62. The draw is 3.0. Cote d'Ivoire victory inside 90 minutes is 2.88. So very little to split the two sides at the moment in that game. First goal scorer is always a fairly interesting market. It's certainly been a tournament full of goals, hasn't it? for Seko Fofana for Ivory Coast. He's probably been their most talismanic figure. Him to score any time is 6.0, 12.0 to be first goal scorer. We haven't seen quite as many goals from Victor Osimhen as we'd have probably liked to see from the Napoli superstar. He's 2.8 to score any time in the game and 5.0 to score first. But here, just to focus on the football on my home shores for this afternoon in I say Great Britain and in the United Kingdom, we have got the 1:30 contest between Everton and Manchester City to bring you an update from in just a second, because there's been a chance for Rodri in that game. But before we do that, let's cross over to Portman Road, because there's some slightly concerning news here by the looks of things. Patrick Noiret for one of the players on the pitch.
Yeah, it was Daryl Dyer who came on for Fellas at half time. He just got badly injured and just didn't get on the buggy. He couldn't walk, got on his buggy. The buggy had to go off. And what's coming now, Swift has come on for him. But play was delayed because they had to wait for the buggy to be off completely before they could take this long throw. Right, so Swift is on for Dyke. And Dyke was, to be honest, he was in tears. So he must have done something really bad. At the moment, 68 gone, still Ipswich 1, West Brom 1.
Fairly serious injury there by the sounds of it for Dyke, who has gone off injured. We wish him well and hope it's not as serious as perhaps it looks like it might be at the moment. Let's go up to Manchester, where Johnny Holmes is at the Etihad Stadium. Johnny, there's been a chance for Rodri, but he's blazed it high and wide.
Yes, he has. And once again, it's more of the same for Manchester City. They've got all the ball, but they're not making anything count with it. No clear-cut chances, and Rodri on the edge of the box, because they couldn't work anything, clear-cut, any golden opportunities. Rodri just thought, I may as well have a go from range, about 25 yards out, but he blazed it over. Dwight McNeil went down injured earlier. Seemed to be a good tackle to me. He's now to his feet and seems to be okay. And we find ourselves in the odd situation whereby quite a few Liverpool fans might find themselves Everton fans for the moment, because as things stand, Manchester City would not surpass them at the top of the league. They need a goal and all 3 points to do that. Can they get it? City 0, Everton 0, 70 minutes played here.
So Liverpool fans have got their fingers crossed that Everton are going to do them a favour here. But I can now announce there has been a goal at the Etihad Stadium.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And unfortunately for Liverpool fans, their fingers being crossed, their hopes and prayers being sent out to their local rivals have unfortunately not been answered, because Manchester City find themselves a goal to the good at home. All the pressure has eventually told, and it's that man again, Erling Haaland, who has put Manchester City in the lead. Johnny Holmes, we were just discussing with you what the prospect was of a goal for Manchester City, and seconds later one arrived. We probably should have done that a little bit earlier in the day. We might have had a goal a little bit earlier on, but tell us how the goal unfolded.
Yeah, absolutely. Erling Haaland is back doing what he does best, and he's absolutely thrilled, delighted. It's like a bit of pressure has maybe been relieved from his shoulders as he fires a half volley into the back of the Everton net. There's nothing that Jordan Pickford can do about that one. The corner is whipped in, a bit of ping pong in the box. It finds its way to Erling Haaland on the edge of the 6 yard. It finds its way to him, and he's not going to miss this chance. It's athletic. He gets his boot high, wraps around it. There's a little deflection on the way through, but it's a powerhouse. It's a thunderbolt. You're not stopping those. Haaland scores. Manchester City 1, Everton 0, 71 minutes played.
Thank you very much indeed, Johnny Holmes. So as it stands, Manchester City leapfrogging Liverpool into first place in the Premier League table, narrowly ahead of their rivals by just a single point, having played the same number of games as them. Of course, Liverpool and Arsenal are playing this weekend, so they will have a chance to move back ahead of Manchester City, but they will have played one game more than them by the end of the weekend. We will be getting some team news for you from some of our 4 o'clock games in a few minutes' time. But before we do that, let's just have a little look at what a former Liverpool player had to say about the prospect of Xabi Alonso replacing Jurgen Klopp at the end of the season. Liverpool, of course, bidding to win a second league title under Jurgen Klopp before he leaves the club at the end of the season. I think it's fair to say that he leaves the club in a much, much stronger position than where he found it. Absolutely magnificent job he has done at Liverpool. I think even the most avid Everton or Manchester United fans would have to admit that Klopp has been an absolute delight to have his attacking, aggressive football in the Premier League. And of course, the favourite to replace him at the moment is Bayer Leverkusen manager Xabi Alonso. So let's hear what Karl-Heinz Riedler had to say about the prospect of Alonso taking over at Liverpool at the end of the season.
He is now 2.5 years in Leverkusen, but on the first year, it's like for him a little bit experience. I think he's in the shape, and he's Xabi knows everything here. Is a hero here. So even as a coach, Leverkusen, it's the best season they ever played in their whole history, I think. So to turn a team like Leverkusen into a winning side, they're definitely battling for the championship in Germany this season. If he's really keen to come over to Liverpool, he would be not a bad choice then.
So yes, according to Karl-Heinz Riedler, I think it probably is pronounced if you speak German better than I do, he thinks Xabi Alonso would be an excellent choice. Just the one full senior campaign under his belt so far for Xabi Alonso. But I suppose that's all that was required for Pep Guardiola to prove his worth before he took over at as Barcelona first team manager, didn't he, after being in charge of the second team for a season or two. Certainly seems to have the world at his feet in managerial terms, Xabi Alonso. There's lots of footage going around on social media of other players and other managers talking about him in the past and talking about prospectively what a brilliant manager they think he will one day make. And he is certainly proving those predictions right at the moment. So a potentially fascinating replacement for Jurgen Klopp in the long term for Liverpool. Meanwhile, in our games here on Football Live this afternoon, it's still Manchester City 1, Everton 0, and it's still Ipswich Town 1, West Brom 1. But Patrick Noiret, has a personnel update for us. Patrick.
Yeah, there's been a change for Ipswich, tactical change. Chaplin's come off. Actually, I thought he was doing quite well, making late runs from the box. And Harness has took a different player in midfield to come on. So it seems to me that both sides are trying to win it. But it's a very tight game. Even Stevens really in possession. So with 75 gone, 15 left, it's Ipswich 1, West Bromwich Albion 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Patrick. No change to the scoreline in that one just yet. Just to remind you, West Brom took the lead early in the first half, and then Ipswich drew themselves level in the second half. And I can announce that there has been another goal since we left Portman Road.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it has now gone the way of the away side. They find themselves 2-1 up. They're back in the lead. West Bromwich Albion having taken the lead, as I mentioned a few seconds ago, in the first half, having seen Ipswich level in the second. John Swift is the man who has put the away side 2-1 up. Patrick, it seems to be a bit of a recurring theme that as soon as I leave reporters in the second half, a goal goes in for one of the sides. But what can you tell us about this one?
Oh, I know. It's all I said, Guy. I thought Ipswich playing the ball. What they try to do is, in a phase of play, they're trying to play out, and then a loose ball forward. West Brom won it back and gave it to John Swift, who basically, long ball, played forward. Someone else won the ball, gave it to Swift. He came forward and outside 50 yards, is it? Probably. Wonderful goal. Back of the net. So it's 76 gone. Ipswich 1, West Brom 2.
We'll stay with you for just a second, Patrick. You say he scored from 50 yards.
Well, just know where the D is.
Oh
Is that
my
50
goodness
yards?
me.
I don't know. Is that 50 yards?
I think it's
50 yards
certainly
close,
pretty
yeah.
close. Yeah, certainly pretty
yeah,
close.
I mean, the keeper, looking at it again from the replay, the keeper should have got it, I would say. The keeper dived down and the ball bounced in front of him. It's a bouncer. It's a bouncer. It bounced in front of him and just couldn't do anything. So, 77 gone. Ipswich 1, West Brom 2.
Goodness me. So keep an eye out on that wherever you catch your championship highlights later on. We're going to go back to the Etihad Stadium because Johnny Holmes has some personnel changes to update us on. Johnny.
Yes, absolutely. Everton have got to change something now. Their whole game plan has been built around trying to contain this Manchester City side to avoid conceding and to try and scrape a point. But now that City have finally broken the deadlock, Everton have got to do something. They've got to roll the dice, and Sean Dyche is trying to do just that. He's bringing off Ashley Young and Calvert-Lewin. They are coming off for Onana and Beto to try and get a grip of this game once again, to try and change it and try and get something out of it. Manchester City themselves making a substitution. Bernardo Silva on for Alvarez, which I think makes sense. Alvarez is a bit more of a forward-thinking striker, get into the box kind of player, where Bernardo Silva can sort of keep the game ticking over with his technical ability. So City looking to hold on to their lead, Everton looking to try and change the tune. It's still 1-0 to Manchester City, 78 minutes played.
Thank you very much indeed, Johnny. Don't forget that from 4 o'clock we will be bringing you all the updates from 5 Premier League games: Liverpool against Burnley, Tottenham against Brighton, Wolves against Brentford, Fulham v Bournemouth, Luton Town against Sheffield United, and one game in the Asia Cup between Jordan and Qatar. But Richard Bond, our senior reporter, will be at Anfield, and he has got some team news for us in the build-up to this game. First of all, Richard, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Alex, and good afternoon, everyone. We're just about 50 minutes away to an intriguing matchup between league leaders at the moment, Liverpool for temporary and relegation-threatened Burnley here at Anfield. Looking to carry on their imperious home record of 23 games unbeaten at home, Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp, though, has had to make 5 changes. Big news here, illness has struck within the Liverpool camp. That's led to the loss of both Alisson and Joe Gomez, whilst Ibrahima Konate is already out, missing through suspension. So there's much change in the Liverpool home defence. Full lineup is Keller in goals, back 4 of Alexander-Arnold, Van Dijk, Jarell Quansah and Andy Robertson, who returns. Midfield 3 sees Curtis Jones, Alexis McAllister and Wataru Endo, who's back from Asia Cup duty. Up top then, without Mo Salah, still out injured, is Diego Jota, Darwin Nunez and Luis Diaz. Visitors Burnley ended the Reds' long 68 unbeaten record-winning run here in 2021. And to do that once more, they'll need to more of the same spirit shown in that 2-2 draw at Turf Moor last weekend. Davide Datro Fofana came on to score twice last time. He starts this time in the side, which makes 3 changes. Trafford starting in goals, back 4 of Assignon, Delacroix, O'Shea and Esteve. Looks like a midfield 4, we think, of Brownhill, Burge, Ramsey and Odobert, and then Fofana playing off striker Zeki Amdouni. Looking forward to a really good game here today. Liverpool versus Burnley in 50 minutes.
Richard, we'll just stay with you for just a second, if we may. What's the mood like at Anfield this afternoon? Obviously, they'll be disappointed to have lost at Arsenal, but on the day, I think it's fair to say they were just edged out by a superior side on the day for whatever reason.
I think they've started the season so well that we forget Liverpool actually, they can lose games sometimes, and Arsenal were really up for that match. They're back in the title race and they wanted it that little bit more there. Liverpool have a strong squad and they'll be buoyed by the return of Mo Salah, who I've heard is back in training this week. So that'll be interesting. They've got a lot of strength in depth. They look to bounce back today against the Burnley side. Really struggling, but did have a good point last week. Burnley, though, they're going to put up a test. They haven't lost games by lots of goals this season. So if Liverpool score early, I can see them winning by a few. But Burnley will try and make it tight for the majority. But looking forward to this game.
Thank you very much indeed. Richard, let's cross to the Etihad Stadium for an update from Johnny Holmes, because Beto was clean through on goal, but the offside flag went up to spare his blushes, Johnny.
Yeah, it did, and he might be happy about that because he should have done a lot better. Sent through on goal. He looked a mile offside anyway. I think everybody was just looking at the linesman, expecting, waiting for that flag to go up, and half the City players actually stopped. They were that confident. You've got to play to the whistle, but I think everybody knew it was offside. But Beto, he wasn't to know, and he took a shot and curled it way wide of goal from a very, very encouraging position. Then the flag came up. He looked across, and it's almost as if it kind of, as you said, spared his blushes, made him feel a bit better about what was a woeful effort on goal. It's still Manchester City 1, Everton 0, 82 minutes played.
Thank you very much, Johnny. Let's have a catch-up with Patrick Noiret at Portman Road. Patrick, there's been a couple more substitutions for the home side as they bid to try and draw themselves level.
Yeah, Sami Nato is coming on for Bullhead, and Al Hamidi, of course, ex-AFC Wimbledon, scored 17 goals this season. He's coming on. Maybe not much fit, but he's got about 10 minutes to make a difference. So with 82 gone, it's still Ipswich 1, West Brom 2.
Thank you, Patrick. Just to remind you, one of our 2 feature games at 4 o'clock is the game between Tottenham and Brighton. Jackson Cole will be there at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for us to watch that one. And we're going to get some team news from Jackson in just a second. I think, Jackson, can you hear me okay?
I certainly can, Alex.
Good man. How are you?
Yes, very well, thank you. And, well, Tottenham will be hoping for a good day this afternoon. They can break into the top 4 with a win this afternoon. 2 changes made by Ange Postecoglou from their last outing as Pape Matar Sarr and Dejan Kulusevski start. Meanwhile, captain Heung-min Son returns to the bench after South Korea's shock Asian Cup exit earlier this week, while Yves Bissouma comes back from Africa Cup of Nations duty as well. As for Brighton, 5 changes made by Roberto De Zerbi, who is suspended for today's game, which includes top scorer for the season, João Pedro, being left out due to a hamstring injury, while Bart Verbruggen, Igor Julio, Jack Hinshelwood and Evan Ferguson also lose their place in the starting lineup. Kaoru Mitoma makes a return to the starting 11 following Asian Cup duty with Japan. Should be a good one, with Tottenham v Brighton coming later this hour.
Thank you very much indeed, Jackson. And I can announce that there has been another goal at the Etihad Stadium.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Is it good news for Liverpool and Arsenal, or is it good news for Everton in their bid to avoid relegation? It is not, I'm afraid to say. It is a second goal for Manchester City, and once again, it is that man, Erling Haaland. He has got his second goal of the game. We were saying earlier that he hadn't quite hit his stride yet since returning from injury, but Johnny Holmes, he's bagged himself a brace this afternoon.
He's certainly in his stride now. Erling Haaland gets his second of the game, and it's back to front for Manchester City, who look like they were under a little bit of pressure. Everton going forward, venturing forward for the first time, for the first period in the game, looking to try and get that equalising goal, and City nick the ball back off them, and it falls to Kevin De Bruyne on the break. That's alarm bells straight away, and he slides a gorgeous through ball to Erling Haaland. He takes it in his stride. The pace, the power, they can't contend, and he just slides it into the bottom corner past Jordan Pickford. Nothing he could do about it once again. Back to front, Manchester City hitting the front. 2-0 to them, 85 minutes played.
Manchester City edging ahead of Liverpool then and cementing their position at the top of the Premier League until Liverpool get underway in 45 minutes time, and of course until Arsenal face West Ham tomorrow. But we've got some team news to get through from the other games that are soon fast approaching in about 45 minutes time or so. Let's have a chat with Paul James, who's going to be at Craven Cottage for Fulham against Bournemouth. Paul, what team news have you got for us?
Well, Fulham have made 2 changes. They haven't beaten Bournemouth since 1992,
Tom Kearney comes in for Tosin, and Issa Diop comes in for Harrison Reed. Alex Iwobi and Calvin Bassey are also missing, of course, because they're in the Nigeria squad that's in the African Cup of Nations final tomorrow. For Bournemouth, 2 changes. Alex Scott comes in for Antoine Semenyo. Justin Clivert makes room for Marcus Tavernier. And Adam Smith makes his 400th appearance today. Fulham v Bournemouth, top of the hour.
Thank you very much indeed, Paul. Looking forward to that one in about 40 minutes time or so. Let's go to Portman Road and have a catch up with Patrick Noiret. Patrick is at that game for us, and the away side West Brom are currently 2-1 to the good, closing the gap from 5th place on 4th place Ipswich with a victory by the looks of things. So I don't want to jinx it just yet, Patrick. They've made a substitution in their bid to hold on to their lead. Tell us about it.
Yeah, they have. They've taken Wyman off, who's more an attacking central midfield player, more Pippo on. But just before you came to me, Hutchinson just had a chance on the right-hand side. He cut in on his left foot, took a shot, but the goalie saved it. More possession with Ipswich at the moment. It seems to me that, we played 87 now. West Brom are quite happy to sit tight on a low block and let Ipswich come at them so they can break away. At the moment, with 87 gone, it is still Ipswich 1, West Brom 2.
Thank you very much indeed, Patrick. Let's have a little throw forwards to not the international tournament that has captured the imagination of the Nigerian public, but another significant confederation final gets underway this weekend, and at 4 p.m. that means that Jordan face Qatar in the Asia Cup final. Qatar looking to become only the 5th side to retain the trophy to win back-to-back Asia Cups, and Jack Hesson is kindly there for us this afternoon. And Jack, you've got some team news for us.
I do indeed. It's going to be a big one in this Asia Cup final at the Lusail Stadium as hosts Qatar look to try and beat the underdogs, Jordan, in this. Jordan, of course, off the back of a dramatic 2-0 win against South Korea in the semi-final. They make a couple of changes. Defender Alajin is in for Bara Mirai, and it looks like a change of shape as well as striker Aliod Alwan replaces defender Yazan Al-Arab. The goal scorers last time out, Namat and Suleiman, also start. As for Qatar, they'd had a dramatic win themselves, 3-2 against Iran. It looks like a change of shape for them also. Pedro Miguel out for Al Haydos in midfield, and Haman Al Amin is replaced by Tarek Halman. Ashraf Afif and Almaliz Ali, the 2 scorers last time, lead the line. Jordan looking for their first continental title. Qatar looking to match Japan's record of 4. Should be a good one, and regardless, history will be made. Jordan versus Qatar in just under an hour's time.
Thank you very much for the update there, Jack. I can announce that at the Etihad Stadium there has actually been another goal.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It is, of course, subject to a VAR review, as is the want these days so frequently in Premier League games. It has gone the way of Everton, but VAR has disallowed it. So the score, it looked like Everton had maybe just given themselves a fighting chance in the dying embers of their game at Manchester City and pulled one back to make the score 2-1. But it has been disallowed by VAR, so it remains 2-0 to Manchester City, which means, of course, betting is suspended in that one. There is 10 minutes of injury time to be played at the Etihad, and there's 8 minutes of injury time to be played at Portman Road in our other 1:30 contest in the Championship between Ipswich and West Brom. But let's head over to Johnny Holmes. Johnny, tell us about that disallowed goal.
Well, not for the first time here. Alex Beto has been caught offside. This time his shot was fabulous. You remember the last one when he was sent through on goal, he missed by a mile. Well, this time he slams it into the bottom corner, turns to the linesman once again, and it's a sense of deja vu for Beto because the goal is disallowed, the flag is raised. Everton thought they were right back into this one. They are not, it seems. Manchester City remain 2 goals to the good here, and we've got 10 minutes of added time. We've played 91 minutes total at the Etihad.
Thank you very much indeed, Johnny. So we won't be going to an ad break as usual in a couple of minutes' time. We will, of course, be waiting for the final whistle to be blown in the game between Manchester City and Everton. They have just entered their first of 10 additional minutes at the end of that contest. Ipswich and West Brom have just entered the first of 8 additional minutes at the game between those two sides at Portman Road. So we're not going to be going back to Nigeria just yet. You'll have to put up with us for another 8 or 9 minutes or so. Just to remind you, Manchester City currently 2 goals up at home to Everton. You cannot get any odds on a Manchester City win at this stage. It's 1.0 if that comes in, so you won't make any profit on your bet, but it is 29.0 for the draw now if Everton can turn around an unlikely U-turn, and it's 101.0 if Everton can score 3 goals in the remaining 8 minutes. But I can now announce there has been another goal at Portman Road.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
This game has been topsy-turvy and a fascinating contest at Portman Road between 4th place Ipswich, 5th place West Brom. West Brom found themselves 2-1 up just a few moments ago, having gone a goal up in the first half and conceding an equaliser early in the second. They've conceded a second equaliser in injury time here, so it is now Ipswich Town 2, West Bromwich Albion 2. Patrick Noiret, tell us more.
This is why we love football. Another corner. It's a funny thing. Ipswich made a substitute from the corner. Ball comes in. And what happens is they try to head the ball out. It goes to the back post. It's headed out. And then there's a shot from the centre half. That comes in. He rounds it off. And Hutchinson, just there. Left foot shot. Bang. Goal. What a goal. Right-hand corner. I can see West Brom hands in their head. Players in their head. Right with 93 gone. It is Ipswich 2. West Brom 2.
Unfortunate there for West Bromwich Albion, but I think it sounds like on the balance of play, Ipswich Town possibly do deserve at least a point from this game. That point, a point apiece in that contest would see Ipswich Town remain 8 points clear of West Bromwich Albion in 4th and 5th place respectively, should things stay as they are at the Etihad Stadium, of course, where Manchester City are 2 goals to the good. Manchester City will find themselves a point clear of Liverpool at the top of the Premier League. City, as things stand, on 52 points, Liverpool on 51, having played the same number of games as each other, and indeed Arsenal, who are currently 3rd in 49. So you have to say Manchester City very much in the driving seat at the moment, but it's, as the old expression goes from Sir Alex Ferguson, very much squeaky bum time at this point, and very much looks like a 3-way title charge. Manchester City have had 18 shots in that game against Everton. They've only got 2 on target, but that's all they needed to score 2 goals. Everton have only managed 5 on target in that game. Sorry, 5 shots at all on goal, only 1 of which they managed to steer on target. It looked like Beto had dragged a goal back for them a few moments ago, but unfortunately it was ruled out for offside, and that decision was confirmed by VAR. So we'll get an update from Johnny Holmes. I think let's cross to Johnny now. Let's just have a quick update from him and see how the closing stages of this game are panning out. Johnny, is it very much Man City possession at this point?
It is. It's cruise control for Manchester City. They saw the threat, they saw the disallowed goal, and since then it's been a case of keep the ball in the Everton half and not really allow them to get back on it. Everton currently do have the ball with Jordan Pickford, but it's not really looking like there's a threat for the Toffees going forward. Manchester City very much in the driving seat, in the ascendancy, 2-0 to the good, and there's only 4 minutes left to go of added time at the Etihad.
Yeah, unsurprising. I think it's fair to say, to see the odds more or less suspended on a Manchester City win in that game. on nairabet.com. That's currently 1.0, so you won't make a profit if the result comes in. It's 29.0 if you think Everton, if you back Everton to get 2 goals in the remaining 5 minutes, 101.0 if you back Everton to score 3 in what is left of the game. Just to remind you, elsewhere in La Liga, the game between Alaves and Villarreal remains 1 game, all 3.75 for a home win, 1.95 for the draw, 3.8 for an away win. All bets available on nairabet.com and are, of course, subject to change. Just to remind you then that we are 6 minutes into 10 minutes of injury time at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City 2 goals up at home to Everton. In the Championship, our 1:30 contest between 4th and 5th place Ipswich and West Brom. Betting currently suspended in that one, so there might be an update, but they have played 7 of 8 signalled additional minutes in that one. The score remains 2-2, so a share of the points at Portman Road currently seems to be the most likely outcome, really, in the dying embers of that one. Just to remind you that at 4 o'clock, we are bringing you all 5 Premier League kickoffs. That's Liverpool v Burnley, Tottenham at home to Brighton, Wolves host Brentford, Fulham play Bournemouth at Craven Cottage, and Luton Town host Sheffield United. We'll also be bringing you score updates and all the latest from Jordan against Qatar in the final of the Asia Cup. We are approaching full time at Portman Road. The game is still going. All 8 minutes of the displayed 8 by the 4th official have been played, but they're playing beyond the signalled 8 minutes at this point. There's been a chance for Ipswich, so let's just get a quick update on that in the dying embers of the game. Patrick Noiret, tell us.
Yeah, Ipswich are trying to win this game. Al-Hamadi has made a difference. He had 2 chances in the space of a minute. On the left-hand side, a drop hold of the ball, left foot shot, goalie saved it. And then later on, it was on the right-hand side, cutting left foot, shot again, goalie saved it to a corner. They have it in the corner and are still trying to score that goal. 98 gone, Ipswich 2, West Brom 2.
And it looks like the final whistle has now been blown at Portman Road, and we can confirm that the Championship game between Ipswich and West Brom, fantastic game this one. What a fantastic advert. I know we say it so often. The Championship really is one of the most entertaining leagues on the planet. And the away side, West Brom, found themselves a goal to the good in the first half. Ipswich early in the second levelled before West Brom put themselves in the lead again later on in the second half, before in the early stages of 8 additional minutes of injury time, Ipswich pulled themselves level once more. We are still haven't had the final whistle at Manchester City's Etihad Stadium in their game against Everton, but it is currently 2-0 to the home side, Manchester City. It doesn't look like anything is going to change in that game. In fact, the final whistle has now been blown. So the game at the Etihad between Manchester City and Everton has finished 2-0 to Manchester City, thanks to an Erling Haaland brace. We're going to head back to Nigeria now and have a catch up with FJ. This is Football Live.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Alex Guilford.
Yes, it is indeed Football Live with me, Alex Guilford. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to FJ for steering the ship for the last 20 minutes or so. Just to remind you, in our early afternoon kickoffs, Manchester City beat Everton by 2-0 at the Etihad Stadium. An Erling Haaland brace, seeing Manchester City back at the top of the Premier League, guiding them on their way there. The game in the Championship between 4th and 5th, Ipswich Town and West Bromwich Albion, finished 2-2. We're going to get a dispatch report on the game at the Etihad from Johnny Holmes in a few minutes' time. But before we do that, we're going to have a chat with Patrick Noiret, who was at Portman Road for us and has his full-time report. Over to you, Patrick.
Yeah, it finished up Portman Road, Ipswich 2, West Brom 2. But what sort of game did we have? The game started with West Brom on the front foot, taking the game to Ipswich. No clear chances until West Brom broke away whilst Ipswich was attacking. The ball found its way on the 18th minute to Fellows, who beat the left back, and a right foot shot made it 1-0. Then both teams were at it again, but no clear chances until after half time. On 46 minutes, Ipswich had a throw on the left-hand side. Ping pong in the box, I would say, when the ball landed to Broadhead, who put it away. Then it wasn't finished. They played again, each team trying to win the game. On 76 minutes, Ipswich tried to play out. They passed, the ball went out to a player from West Brom player, 2 passes into the box. The ball got to Swift. Swift took a long shot outside the box near the D, made it 2-1 to West Brom. The ball bounced in front of the keeper. That wasn't finished. On 90th minute, we had a corner on the left-hand side. Ping pong again in the box, and the ball landed at Hutchinson. His left foot down low, made it 2-2. We had 8 minutes of extra time because of the injury to Dykes. It finished Ipswich 2, West Brom 2.
Thank you very much indeed, Patrick, and thank you very much for your fine work throughout the first half of the show this afternoon. Fascinating contest took place at Portman Road this afternoon, as I said earlier, between 4th and 5th in the Championship. Eventually, both sides finishing the game with 2 goals each and a share of the points. Just to remind you, our 4 o'clock games here on Football Live are Wolves against Brentford, Fulham against Bournemouth, Luton Town against Sheffield United, as well as Liverpool v Burnley and Tottenham against Brighton, our 2 feature games. And we're also bringing you live updates from the Asia Cup contest between Jordan and Qatar. We haven't had team news yet from Wolves against Brentford, Fulham against Bournemouth, or Luton Town against Sheffield United. So let's get an update from those first. Let's head first to Molineux and have a chat with Tom Cooney. Tom, good afternoon to you. 5 minutes before kickoff, what's the team news there?
Good afternoon, Alex. Yeah, I'm really excited for this one today. I actually tipped Wolves for relegation this season, but they've been proving me wrong emphatically. They're looking up the table rather than down. Gary O'Neill's side go into this game unchanged from the 4-2 win at Chelsea. Matthias Cunha in the side today. He scored a hat-trick in that game, bringing him to 11 goals for the season. Brentford, likewise, they are unchanged as well. They're battling further down the table in 15th, just 3 points from safety going into today's game. They have been unfortunate this season with injuries and suspensions to key players. Visser and Mbermo still missing today, so they'll be very relieved to have Ivan Toney back amongst the starters. He's got 2 in 3 since returning from his long-term ban, so they'll need their talisman firing today. And speaking of firing, his partner up top is Neil Maupay, who after a barren couple of years has got 5 goals in his last 5 games in all competitions. Really looking forward to this one today. Moments from kickoff here in the West Midlands.
Thank you very much indeed, Tom. Yeah, fine work Gary O'Neill is doing at Wolves this season, possibly the surprise package. I don't think you are by any means alone in your pre-season assessment that Wolves might be ripe for relegation, but Gary O'Neill doing a wonderful job there. Former Bournemouth manager, of course, and Bournemouth visit Craven Cottage this afternoon. Again, we will be bringing you live updates from courtesy of Paul James, who is at this one for us and has the team news. Paul, over to you.
Thanks very much, Alex. Yes, so Fulham have made 2 changes. Tom Kearney is in for Tosin. Issa Diop is in for Harrison Reed. Alex Iwobi and Calvin Bassey, of course, they're missing out there with the Nigerian team who are in the African Cup of Nations final tomorrow. For Bournemouth, well, 2 changes for them. Justin Kluivert is out, Marcus Tavernier is in, and Alex Scott is in. And 400th League appearance today for Adam Smith. Fulham v Bournemouth, it's kicking off in just a few moments' time.
Thank you very much indeed, Paul, which leaves Luton Town against Sheffield United, the only game we are yet to get any team news from. And Ash Sandiford is in Luton for this one for us. Ash, what's the team news there?
Hi, good afternoon, Alex. Good afternoon, Football Live listeners. Yeah, big game here between these 2 at the bottom of the table. As for Luton, Rob Edwards just makes 1 change for Luton. Reece Burke comes in for Tenen Mengi. And as for Sheffield United, they're bottom of the league in 20th place at the moment. They've rallied the changes from that 5-0 defeat away at Aston Villa last weekend. So Jack Robertson comes in for Aston Trusty. We've got Gustavo comes in for Andre Brooks, Ben Osborne in for Diaz, and Cameron Archer is in for William Osler. So big game here between these bottom two. Sheffield United need to get some points on the board, but Luton will be feeling confident at home as usual. It's Luton versus Sheffield United.
Thank you very much indeed, Ash. A real relegation six-pointer, that one. Both newly promoted sides, both lurking in the relegation zone. But how fantastic has the recent form of Luton Town been? They do seem like they might just be able to drag themselves out of that relegation zone, particularly if they are buoyed by a points deduction for one of the sides in and around them, namely Everton and Nottingham Forest. Looks like that might be happening just before the games all kick off at 4 p.m. Then let's catch up once again with Richard Bond, who's abreast of our feature game of the afternoon between Liverpool and Burnley. Richard, just run us by the changes for these sides once again.
Yeah, well, Liverpool have made 5 changes. They've struck down with a bit of illness really in the camp. So Alisson's missing and Keller has come back in goals. Andy Robertson comes in at left back for Joe Gomez. And then we've seen Endo come into midfield, really. Szoboszlai's missing, so it'll be interesting to see where Alexis McAllister plays a bit more forward and Endo screens. Nunez has come into the attack as well. So Liverpool looking strong. Burnley made 3 changes. They went for Davide Fofana, who scored twice last week. He's going to probably play just off Zeki Amdouni up front, whilst they made 2 changes in defence with Esteve and Delacroix coming in. So it's going to be an interesting contest. Liverpool had the better of this fixture in the last few years, but Burnley did stop a really big, long unbeaten run for Liverpool 3 years ago there. So interesting one here. Just about to kick off here at Anfield. It's Liverpool-Burnley.
Thank you very much indeed. Richard will have another quick chat with Jackson Cole in just a second to remind us of the team news between Tottenham Hotspur and Brighton and Hove Albion. But just to give you a rundown of the latest odds on all the Premier League games this afternoon. Luton Town against Sheffield United. If you fancy a bet on that one, 1.70 a home win, possibly the shortest odds for a Luton win available all season so far. 4.0 is the draw. 4.75 a Sheffield United away win. Spurs against Brighton is 1.75 for the home side. Spurs 4.5 for the draw, 4.0 for a Brighton win. Nottingham Forest against Newcastle United is this evening's kickoff. That gets underway at 6:30. The pre-match odds are 3.1 for a Forest win, 3.75 for the draw, 2.2 for Newcastle to muster an away victory excuse me if I get my words out properly, Newcastle to get an away victory at the City ground. In the Premier League, Liverpool against Burnley has got underway. It's 1.20 for a Liverpool win, 7.5 the draw, 15.0 for the away win. Wolves against Brentford is 2.25 for a Wolves win, 3.6 for the draw, 3.1 for a Brentford away victory. And last but not least, Fulham against Bournemouth is 2.62 for a Fulham victory at Craven Cottage at home, 3.5 for the draw, 2.7 for a Bournemouth away win. So not much to pick between those two sides. A fairly evenly priced up contest, and lots of those games getting underway now. We didn't have a chance to catch up with Jackson Cole prior for a second catch up with Jackson Cole prior to Tottenham v Brighton. So let's cross over to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium now and have a chat with Jackson. Jackson, the game's just got underway. Just remind us of the team news, if you will.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, 2 changes made by Ange Postecoglou. Dejan Kulusevski and Pape Matar come in for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and Brennan Johnson. As for Brighton, 5 changes made from their team that won 4-1 against Crystal Palace last Saturday. And one of those is João Pedro. He's out with a hamstring injury, and that is a massive blow for Brighton. He scored 19 goals in all competitions, and only Erling Haaland, of all the Premier League players out there, only Erling Haaland has outscored him in all competitions this season. So Brighton may have their work cut out without their biggest outlet for goals. But right now it's still Tottenham 0, Brighton 0.
It's AFCON all the way on Football Live. Come on, you Super Eagles!
Straight down the middle and Nigeria lead.
Yes! I'm a Nigerian! I'm proud of my country.
Second, it's a tap-in for Osimhen, and Nigeria now have hit their stride.
You guys were exceptional. You were amazing.
A couple of steps away against Williams, sends Nigeria into the final.
You made our country proud.
Welcome to the header from Osimhen. He is super dangerous.
Nigeria, let me say it again. We are the bedrock of Africa.
It's Ademola Lookman at the double for Nigeria.
We are bringing the cup back home. Thank you. God bless you.
Good luck to the Super Eagles from everyone at Football Live.
Tomorrow afternoon, Football Live will be here as the build-up to the AFCON final hots up. Top Premier League action as Arsenal go to West Ham in a big London derby. All the AFCON build-up too as the focus turns towards the Super Eagles on a gigantic day of football right here on Briller FM.
Nigeria are the favourites to bring home the trophy. Get involved in NairaBet Super Sunday Special and net yourself a free bet. After a crazy tournament, Osimhen and Nigeria take on the Ivory Coast, and we are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to 500 Naira. Whether you back the Super Eagles or the Elephants, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log in to www.nairabet.com. Bet on the AFCON final, Nigeria versus Ivory Coast. Receive your 100% matched free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match market or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18, minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
Hello and a very good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody.
Absolute screamer.
Bang in form.
Into dreamland.
Oh my God, they were crying.
What was he doing in the box?
Check my phone, mate. He's not in there.
He looks thoroughly disgusted.
They've been absolutely brilliant. That's proper.
So much to tell you about.
So much going on.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
In the Premier League, you just never know.
You are listening to Football Live on Briller FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM. Let's get back to the action and the AFCON final build-up. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live, cheering on the Super Eagles to AFCON glory with Alex Guilford.
Yes, welcome back to Football Live. We promised you a bumper edition of the show this afternoon with so many 4 o'clock kickoffs to get our teeth stuck into. And I am pleased to say we have been repaid and there's already been a goal at Craven Cottage.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
That's right. A goal at Craven Cottage and a goal for Bobby Cordova-Reid has put Fulham a goal to the good in the Scott Parker used to be our manager derby at Fulham at Craven Cottage. And so early signs there of a positive result that could be in the offing for Fulham. We'll get an update on that goal from Paul James, our correspondent who is at the game in a few moments' time. But before we do that, we're going to cross to Anfield and have a quick chat with Richard Bond, because perhaps against pre-match expectations, the first chance of the game has gone the way of Burnley, Richard.
Yeah, the visitors have started quite strong. Sander Berge involved in most of the good things so far we've seen. It was a free kick they had on the right-hand side. It was Berge who put the ball into the box. Won by O'Shea, headed down to Zeki Amdouni, just on the right-hand side. He's half caught a volley. He's gone straight into the hands of Keller, but positive stuff from Burnley. Liverpool 0, Burnley 0 in the opening stages here.
Thank you very much indeed, Richard. Let's cross to Craven Cottage, where I mentioned that the home side Fulham had just put themselves a goal to the good, and have a chat with Paul James, who can describe the goal for us, Paul.
Yes, absolutely. Muniz got down the right-hand side for Fulham. His ball into the box wasn't great. Lewis Cook intercepted, but then he slipped, and nipping in was Bobby Cordova-Reid to slide it under Neto into his right-hand side of the goal. And Fulham take the 1-goal lead here. They haven't won at home against Bournemouth since April 1992, but they lead 1-0 here with 7 minutes gone.
Thank you, Paul. We're going to go straight over to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and have a chat with Jackson Cole, because the home side's goalkeeper has been called into some early action here. Jackson.
Yeah, Brighton have made the brighter start at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Still 0-0, but a really good chance for Danny Welbeck, the former Arsenal player. Of course, he rolled Mickey van der Ven very well before unleashing a left-footed effort aiming towards the top left-hand corner, but it was a brilliant save by Guillermo Vicario, who's been so good for Tottenham this season, to acrobatically tip it round the post and prevent Tottenham from going down a goal early in the game. So yeah, about 7 minutes on the clock, and it's still Tottenham 0, Brighton 0.
Superb, Jackson. Thank you very much. Still 0-0 in the game between Tottenham and Brighton, but some early promising green shoots for the away side, at least. The Tottenham Hotspur goalkeeper Vicario being called into some early action there. There was an early chance in the game between Luton Town and Sheffield United, and what looks like possibly a slightly unfortunate, a really disappointing injury as far as Sheffield United are concerned. Ash, what can you tell us about the two events?
Yeah, firstly, really early stages, still Luton 0, Sheffield United 0, but early chance for Sheffield United. It was big punt down the field, and Cameron Archer just kind of literally just cannoned the ball off his chest, and it was James McAtee flashed it with his left foot, just went right up the goalkeeper's post. Really good opportunity in the opening seconds, and then just a few moments after, Reece Norrington-Davies just gone to chase just a lost ball, really, just going out for a throw-in, and he's pulled up really badly. Really collapsed onto the side, and he looked like he's done his ACL. He's in absolute tears, and he's now gone off, and Max Lowe's now come on to replace him at left back. But it's still currently Luton 0, Sheffield United 0.
What a shame. We wish him a speedy recovery, whatever the prognosis is from that one. Thank you very much for that update, Ash Sandiford. We're going to go to Anfield now, where there has been another warning sign for Liverpool. Liverpool looking to turn around, of course, given their defeat at the Emirates Stadium at the hands of Arsenal last weekend. Richard, they're on the back foot, perhaps surprisingly, in these early exchanges against rock-bottom Burnley.
I can't believe what I'm seeing, really. They're so sluggish. You think after the Arsenal defeat they'd be right out the traps this afternoon, but it's not that way. It's Burnley who've been the better side, and they've smashed the crossbar. It's that man, Davide Fofana. He got 2 last week against Fulham, and he's just taken a pot shot from 25 yards with pace and power on that. It's just dipped, and it's beaten Keller. It all ends up, and it's just bounced and gone over the bar. Just after that, then, Amdouni's had a half chance, and he's just sliced it wide. Burnley have had the early chances here, but it still remains level. Liverpool 0, Burnley 0 with 10 minutes gone.
Thank you very much indeed, Richard. Of course, I was slightly erroneous in my statement there that Burnley are rock bottom. They are 3 points clear of Sheffield United, who themselves are bottom of the Premier League on 10 points. Burnley in 19th place, just above them on 13 points. We're going to cross back to Craven Cottage, and Paul James is going to update us with a massive chance for the home side to double their lead, Paul.
Absolutely. A quick 1-2 on the edge of the penalty area between Tom Kearney and Willian. Willian got into the penalty area. It looked all for odds like he was going to score. He slid it. He tried to slide it under the goalkeeper, but Neto got his left hand down and made the save. A vital save for Neto. Bournemouth's defence is looking very shaky early on. It's Fulham 1, Bournemouth 0.
Thank you very much. And we're going to head to the game between Luton and Sheffield United, because Ash Sandiford has got news of a yellow card in that one, Ash.
Yeah, Luton 0, Sheffield United 0, and it's unfortunate. Mason Holgate has got himself booked. Mason Holgate, the on loan Everton centre half, he's got himself booked really early in this game. He's going to have to be really careful for the rest of this game. He's tried to kind of run in a foot race with Morris, and honestly, he had him beaten, and in the end, he gets to the ball, and he's tried the last-minute challenge on the halfway line. And to be honest with you, if he was bearing down on goal, it could have been a sending off. It's probably one of those in-between cards that they've been talking about midweek. But to be honest, it was just a booking, and he's going to have to be really careful now, Mason Holgate, for the rest of the game. But as it stands, it's still Luton 0, Sheffield United 0.
Thank you very much, Ash. Mason Holgate grateful that they haven't brought in the blue cards, which they're talking about trialing next season, putting players into the sin bin for 10 minutes or so, just as well. But I'm sure that'll be a talking point after the game. Let's swing over to Molineux and have a chat with Tom Cooney, because Tom is at Molineux watching Brentford against Wolves. Brentford are in town, but haven't managed to create anything particularly clear-cut for themselves yet, Tom.
That's not the case, Alex. So my update was going to be on a speculative shot from distance for Wolves. But just before you came to, we've had 2 quick-fire chances for Brentford, and they really should be ahead. Wolves were on top and controlling the game, and a mistake by the goalkeeper. The ball was lost, and Neil Maupay was played in, and it came to him very quickly, but it was a chance 1 versus 1, and he had it straight at the keeper. He really should have scored. And then from the resulting corner, the ball was whipped in. Ivan Toney, 2 strikers who've been scoring lately, he found himself alone in the 6-yard box, and he couldn't get enough on his header to steer it into the corner. The goalkeeper was able to get down low and make a good save. Sparked into life here at Molineux. 13 minutes gone. Remains Wolves 0, Brentford 0.
Thank you very much indeed, Tom. Neil Maupay narrowly missing out on an opportunity to bag his 6th goal in 6 games in all competitions. Just to remind you, update you rather, with the odds across our live Premier League games this afternoon, courtesy of nairabet.com. Fulham a goal up at home to Bournemouth, sees them now 1.6 for the victory, 4.33 is the draw, and 5.5 for a Bournemouth win. Wolves and Brentford is goalless, which means Wolves are 2.5 for the win. The draw is 3.4, and an away win for Brentford is 3.0. Spurs against Brighton is 1.83 for a Spurs win, 4.33 for the draw, and 3.8 if you fancy Brighton to leave the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with all 3 points. Liverpool have survived an early scare against Burnley and are currently goalless, but it's 1.22 if you want to back the Reds to secure a home victory there. 7.0 the draw, and 12.0 for a Burnley win. So plenty of value still available in that game, given the scoreline. And our 5th and final game of in the Premier League this afternoon is 1.83 for a Luton Town victory at home to Sheffield United, 3.75 the draw, 4.5 for a Sheffield United win. It's time, slightly belatedly, apologies to Jack Hesson, it's time to head over to Qatar for an update on the Asian Cup final between Jordan and the hosts Qatar. Jack Hesson, what can you tell us?
Yeah, 30 minutes in, and really the best chance of the game so far fell to Qatar. It was Abdel Razak on the right-hand side, played the ball into top goal scorer in the tournament for Qatar this year, Akram Afif. He tried to place the ball into the bottom right-hand corner, but it was a decent save by Yazid Abu Laila, and goals for Jordan. So a promising start to the game for Qatar. It's an electric atmosphere at the Lusail Stadium. 12 minutes in, it's Jordan 0, Qatar 0.
Thank you very much indeed, Jack Hesson. Updates coming from the Asia Cup final in Qatar throughout the afternoon. That game is, well, all of our games are about 15 minutes underway. Let's cross back to Molineux, where we recently got an update from Tom Cooney about a couple of Brentford opportunities. Since then, I think there's been another chance for the home side. Tom, am I right this time?
Yes, you are right. A good response from Wolves. This game really has sparked into life. It was Brentford this time being a bit careless in the middle of the park. I think it was Lamina who outmuscled the midfielder, won the ball back and slipped in Matthias Cunha, who's in a hot streak of goal-scoring form. He shaped up his defender, looked like he was going to cut inside, went on the outside onto his left foot and forced Flecken into a good save across him. Very, very nearly a goal for Wolves. We are, as you mentioned, 15 minutes gone in this game. It remains 0-0, but I can't imagine that'll be the case for long if the chances carry on like this.
Thank you very much indeed, Tom. I hope you haven't jinxed it there, but in the meantime, I am pleased to say that we've got another goal for you on Football Live from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Yes, it's Tottenham Hotspur 0, Brighton 1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Brighton have put themselves a goal up thanks to a penalty courtesy of a VAR check. So we will get an update from our correspondent at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Jackson Cole, in a few moments' time. Let's go to Anfield, where there's been a half chance for Liverpool. Richard Bond.
Yeah, Liverpool come back into this one after Burnley's strong start. And Alexander Arnold had a good effort, just flew over the crossbar. Then we just had another chance just seconds ago now. Ball came into the box from Andy Robertson, headed down by Darwin Nunez, the edge for Curtis Jones. He slashed an effort and it's just flown just wide of the right-hand post. Better from Liverpool, but the scores remain level. Liverpool 0, Burnley 0, 16 minutes gone.
Thank you very much indeed, Richard Bond. Let's catch up with proceedings at our other feature game of the afternoon at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I mentioned that Brighton were a goal to good courtesy of a penalty. The decision, as you'd expect these days, involved a VAR review. Jackson Cole has all the info for us. Jackson.
Yeah, Tottenham 0, Brighton 1. A little bit of a surprise at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but you know what? Brighton have been very good value for their lead after 18 minutes. It was a Pascal Gross penalty, and it came after Mickey van der Ven, who has not started the game well at all, brought down Danny Welbeck, who's looked very bright so far in the box. This was after Gross dispossessed Rodrigo Bentancur on the edge of the Tottenham box. Gross stepped up and made no mistake as he slotted it to Guillermo Vicario's right. Vicario diving to his left. So Brighton are well on top here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham 0, Brighton 1.
Thank you, Jackson. We'll stay with you for just a second at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium if we can, because of course all eyes will be on Son Heung-min, who's just returned from the Asia Cup, where he was representing South Korea, of course. All eyes will be on him, but naturally all eyes will also be on the other players in his position in the starting lineup, namely Richarlison and Werner, both of whom I think it's fair to say have been in decent form recently. But how have they started the game?
Well, they've been near non-existent, Werner and Richarlison, but so have the rest of the Tottenham team. They just have not got going. They can barely string any passes together. I haven't seen a lot from Maddison. He really does make them tick. Brighton, they've kept the ball. They've just suffocated Tottenham, really. So it would not surprise me if Heung-min Son came on at half-time or even earlier, because they're in dire need of some kind of inspiration, because they just look rather shell-shocked at the moment. Brighton, they're doing all the playing at the moment.
Thank you very much indeed, Jackson. Hopefully, for as far as Spurs fans are concerned anyway, and indeed our beloved producer John, hopefully Tottenham can get themselves back into that one despite the slow start. Let's have a catch up with Paul James, who is at Craven Cottage for us. He is watching Fulham against Bournemouth for us, and Bournemouth, the away side, have missed a chance to put themselves level, Paul.
Yes, absolutely. A clattering challenge by Timothy Castagna on the edge of his own penalty area allowed a free kick to be taken by Alex Scott. He blasted it into the wall, but it came loose to Ryan Christie, who skewed it over the crossbar. No booking by Darren England. I was quite surprised at that. It's still Fulham 1, Bournemouth 0.
Thank you very much indeed, Paul. We're going to head to have a chat with Tom Cooney, who is at Molineux for us. Tom, some disappointing news for Wolves fans due to an injury to one of their key players.
Yeah, a massive blow for Wolves. It was Matthias Cunha that's taken a bad knock and gone off. I was very surprised the referee didn't give a free kick. He looked to be caught late after the ball had gone. The referee waved play on. When the camera cut back to him, he looked a little bit emotional, but he's tried to play on for a few minutes, and then eventually he sat down and succumbed to his injury. He's been replaced by Bellegarde, but that is a massive blow for Wolves. A key player for them. He's scored a lot of goals of late. They'll need to recover now. 20 minutes gone in this game. It remains 0-0.
Thank you very much, Tom. Disappointing news for Wolves fans there, although I was bemoaning my luck when it came to fantasy football earlier. I did actually take Cunha slightly reluctantly out of my team this week. We hope his injury isn't too serious, but at the very least, I can put a positive spin on that one. So we're going to have, there's another update we've got to bring to you from the Asia Cup final between Jordan and Qatar. Jack Hessen is there, and there's been an opportunity for Jordan. Slightly unexpectedly, Jack. Sorry.
No, sorry, a decent chance there for Jordan. It was Yazan Al-Naimat who scored a belter against South Korea in the semi-final from a similar distance outside the box. Hits a fierce shot straight at goalkeeper Marcel Barshan. But as you come to me, there's space on the right-hand side for Jordan. Al-Haddad playing the ball into the middle of the box. Ayad Alwan going towards it and clatters into Barshan. He receives a booking. Barshan was down for a couple of minutes, but he's now back on his feet. So this game hotting up here, 20 minutes played. It's Jordan nil, Qatar nil.
Thank you very much indeed, Jack. We need to get an update from Richard Bond, who is at Liverpool against Burnley. Yellow card for a cynical foul there, Richard.
Yeah, well, Liverpool under pressure at the back, and they know they've made those changes, and Gerald Kranzler's come in today, and he's taken out Oldebert, the flying French winger, like he's one-on-one pretty much coming through, and he's just sliced him down, and he's gone straight in the book as Burnley really looking to press some advantage home. But thing is, it's happened so many times with Burnley this season. They haven't scored when they've been on top, and at the moment we're halfway through this first half. It's 0-0. They've had the better chances and expect Liverpool to come back into it. But as we stand, though, no goals. Liverpool 0, Burnley 0.
Thank you very much indeed, Richard. There has been a penalty in the Asia Cup final between Qatar and Jordan, which we will update you on as appropriate. Let's first head to Jackson Cole, because there's been a big chance for Tottenham Hotspur to draw themselves level.
Yeah, and they really should be level. It's Tottenham 0, Brighton 1. It fell to Richarlison, the man in form. 9 goals in his last 8 Premier League appearances. He was slipped in for a one-on-one, but he fired it straight at Brighton goalkeeper Jason Steele. A massive chance for the Brazilian, but it's more positive signs for Tottenham, but they are still losing. It's Tottenham 0, Brighton 1.
Thank you very much indeed. There's also been a chance for Brentford at Molineux. Let's have a catch up with Tom Cooney. What can you tell us, Tom?
It's another big chance that's been spurned by Brentford this time. It reacting immediately to Matthias Cunha going up. They seemed to be a bit of confidence into their play as soon as that happened. They had players over. The ball was played out to Reguilon, who fired a ball across the yard box. Tony was inches away, Jensen was inches away. It eventually came to Roeslev at the far post with Sarr on his backside, and from a tight angle he had the roof of the net to play it into, but he's blazed it over the bar. A huge chance that's been spurned there. With 24 minutes gone, it's still 0-0. Maybe I have jinxed it.
We did say you might have done. Nonetheless, we keep our fingers crossed for a breakthrough at Molineux. I'm pleased, though, that I can announce that there has been a goal at the Lusail Stadium in Qatar.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And I can tell you that it has gone the way of the host nation, Qatar, well and truly on their way to becoming only the 5th side to retain the Asia Cup, having lifted the trophy in 2019. Akram Afif has put the home side up from the penalty spot. Jack Hessen, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Qatar well on their way to this now. It was a great goal, great penalty from Akram Afif, coolly placed into the bottom right-hand corner. It was Afif himself who won the foul after being clattered from behind in the box by Abdullah Nasib, the Jordan defender. Coolly dispatched penalty. He's now the joint top goal scorer in the tournament with 6 goals. He'll be looking to try and break that record now. 25 minutes on the clock. It's Jordan 0, Qatar 1.
Thank you, Jack. This is Football Live.
It's AFCON all the way on Football Live. Come on, you Super Eagles!
Straight down the middle and Nigeria lead.
Yes! I'm a Nigerian! I'm proud of my country.
Second, it's a tap-in for Osimhen, and Nigeria now have hit their stride.
You guys were exceptional. You were amazing.
A couple of steps away against Williams, sends Nigeria into the final.
You made our country proud.
Well, comes in, look at that header from Osimhen. He is super dangerous.
Nigeria, let me say it again. We are the bedrock of Africa.
It's Ademola Lookman at the double for Nigeria.
You are bringing the cup back home. Thank you. God bless you.
Good luck to the Super Eagles from everyone at Football Live.
Tomorrow afternoon, Football Live will be here as the build-up to the AFCON final hots up. Top Premier League action as Arsenal go to West Ham in a big London derby. All the AFCON build-up too as the focus turns towards the Super Eagles on a gigantic day of football right here on Briller FM.
Nigeria are the favourites to bring home the trophy. Get involved in NairaBet Super Sunday Special and net yourself a free bet. After a crazy tournament, Osimhen and Nigeria take on the Ivory Coast, and we are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to 500 Naira. Whether you back the Super Eagles or the Elephants, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log in to www.nairabet.com. Bet on the AFCON final, Nigeria versus Ivory Coast. Receive your 100% matched free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match market or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18. Minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
Hello and a very good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody.
Absolute screamer.
Bang in form.
Into dreamland.
Oh my God, they were crying.
What was he doing in the box?
Check my phone, mate. He's not in there.
He looks thoroughly disgusted.
They've been absolutely brilliant. That's a problem.
So much to tell you about.
So much going on.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
In the Premier League, you just never know.
You are listening to Football Live on Briller FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM. Let's get back to the action and the AFCON final build-up. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live, cheering on the Super Eagles to AFCON glory with Alex Guilford.
Yes, welcome back to Football Live with me, Alex Guilford. As I promised you earlier, a bumper edition of the show. Just to remind you, our 1:30 kickoffs were Manchester City against Everton. Manchester City rounding out 2-0 victors at home against the struggling Toffees. In the Championship, we had Ipswich Town against West Bromwich Albion, a game that finished 2-2. Our 4 o'clock games, there's been slightly less goals I think we were hoping for at this stage, given that there are 5 of them in the Premier League and 1 of them in the Asia Cup. It's currently Fulham 1, AFC Bournemouth 0 and Tottenham Hotspur 0. Brighton and Hove Albion 1. Qatar are 1-0 up against Jordan. And in fact, as soon as I've said that, I was about to say all the other games are goalless, but there has been a goal at Kenilworth Road.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It has gone the way of Sheffield United, a potentially crucial goal for them in their bid to stay in the Premier League. They've been struggling of late. And I can also bring you news of a goal at Anfield.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And this one is good news for Liverpool fans. They had their fingers crossed that local rivals Everton might be able to do them a favour away at Manchester City in a bid to assist Liverpool in their attempts to reclaim their place at the top of the Premier League. It would have been very valuable if Everton had been able to take a few points off Manchester City. They weren't able to do so, but Diogo Jota has put Liverpool ahead at home to Burnley, and therefore Liverpool leapfrog Manchester City once again, and as things stand, go 2 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Archer has put Sheffield United a goal up at Luton Town, but let's have a catch up with Richard Bond, who's going to tell us about the goal from Diogo Jota.
Yeah, very un-Liverpool-like goal, but Diego Jota's got the breakthrough for the hosts, and it is his third goal in 4 games against Burnley. Corner came in from Andy Robertson from the left-hand side, and Jota, unmarked in the centre of the box, just headed home past Despair and James Trafford. Liverpool in the ascendancy, Liverpool 1, Burnley 0, just over half hour gone.
Thank you very much indeed, Richard. Let's head to Kenilworth Road and have a chat with Ash Sandiford, who is going to tell us about Archer's goal for Sheffield United, a potentially incredibly valuable goal for Sheffield United. Ash.
Yeah, it's Luton Town 0, Sheffield United 1, and it's a valuable goal for Sheffield United. In the end, goal is coming from Cameron Archer. And Archer, in the end, he actually had an opportunity, I would say literally about 10, 15 seconds before. It was an absolute tap-in. He should have just literally passed it just past the goalkeeper. But in the end, it's come to Mason Holgate, who got himself a booking earlier on. He just hit a clearance just down the left-hand flank, and Archer's nipped away from the defender, and he's used his pace to get down to the byline, and he opened up his body and he's curled it into the goalkeeper's near post. Great little finish from Archer. Great break from Sheffield United, and it's Luton Town 0, Sheffield United 1.
Thank you very much, Ash. So just to give you a score update here on Football Live, the goals are absolutely flying in here on Brilla FM. Fulham currently lead Bournemouth by a 0-0 at Craven Cottage. Liverpool at Anfield are a goal up against struggling Burnley. Luton currently find themselves a goal down against fellow strugglers Sheffield United. Brighton have gone 1-0 up at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and the game between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Brentford is the only game that we're bringing you here on Football Live that currently remains goalless. We'll get an update from that one in just a second, before I remind you that Jordan against Qatar in the final of the Asia Cup also here is 1-0 to one of the sides. It's 1-0 to Qatar, thanks to an Afif penalty just a few minutes ago. I mentioned that Wolverhampton against Brentford was the only game we're covering that remains goalless. Tom Cooney is at that one for us, and he's going to tell us about a chance for the away side to change that they weren't quite able to take.
Yeah, I can't quite believe that this game is 0-0. I really, really can't. And it's Neil Maupay again, who's wasted another chance. The ball was won back in the midfield by Brentford as Wolves were trying to play out. It came to Neil Maupay about 30 yards from goal. The defenders were backing off. He was running into the area. They're backing off. He looked like he was going to go right, looked like he was going to go left. Eventually, he found some space, and all he had to do was hit it one side or the other, and he's lifted the ball into the hands of Jose Sarr, who was very, very grateful, because it's another huge opportunity wasted by Brentford. 33 minutes gone, and somehow this game remains Wolves 0, Brentford 0.
Thank you very much indeed, Tom. In fact, I think by the looks of things, yes, we can announce that that game is now no longer goalless. There has been a goal at Molineux.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it has gone the way of the away side. Brentford's early pressure beginning to tell now. Christian Norgard, the Danish defensive midfielder, has put Brentford a goal to 0 up away at Wolverhampton Wanderers. Meanwhile, at Craven Cottage, I'm delighted to say there's been another goal there.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it looks like it has gone the way of the home side, who have doubled their advantage at home to Bournemouth in the Scott Parker used to be our manager derby, as I slightly condescendingly caused it earlier. I didn't mean any offence, Fulham or Bournemouth fans. You've, of course, gone on to bigger and better things, I think it's fair to say, since Scott Parker left you. But it's great to see that Fulham have put themselves 2-0 up. We're going to get a report on that goal from the goal at Brentford. Actually, let's go to Molineux first, where Brentford find themselves a goal to the good up at Molineux. Tom Cooney, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Alex, just as you left me, Brentford was setting up a corner, and that corner has provided the breakthrough. Sergio Reguilon that whips the ball into the box, and it's Norgard that somehow finds space with about 3 yards out. The ball's curling in towards the goalkeeper. I wonder I don't know where he is. Got in between Dawson and Sarr, found himself with space 2 yards from goal and heads into an empty net. The goalkeeper and the defenders looking at each other saying, "Where were you?" It's 35 minutes gone, and Brentford have taken the lead with a goal that Wolves will be very disappointed about. Wolves 0, Brentford 1.
Thank you very much indeed. I mentioned there had been a second goal at Craven Cottage. I'm pleased to say there's been a second goal as well at Kenilworth Road.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And that has gone the way of Sheffield United. They have dug themselves out of the trenches in which they found themselves buried in recent weeks. They've been in rotten form, but in this crucial potential 6-pointer in their bid to stay in the Premier League, Sheffield United have doubled their lead away at Luton Town at Kenilworth Road. We'll get an update on that second goal. I think it came from the penalty spot a few moments ago. Once we have caught up with Paul James, who is at Craven Cottage for us and is going to tell us how Fulham doubled their lead at home to Bournemouth.
Yes, thanks, Alex. Well, Bournemouth have been punished for missing a gilt-edged chance. From a resulting corner, it was swung into the box, and Dominic Solanke, from less than 3 yards out, managed to balloon it over the crossbar. But the goal came when Willian was on the left-hand side. He swung the cross into the middle. It was a cushioned header down by Decordova-Reid, and sneaking behind the defender there was Rodrigo Muniz to double Fulham's lead. It's Fulham 2, Bournemouth 0.
Thank you very much indeed, Paul. We're going to have a catch up with Ash Sandiford, who is going to tell us all about Sheffield United's second goal away at Luton Town. What can you tell us, Ash?
Yeah, it's Luton Town 0, Sheffield United 2, and the Blades are going to be absolutely delighted, scoring their 21st goal of the season. They've only scored 19 before that, and they've got 2 in today's game. It's come from the penalty spot, and it's James McAtee confidently slipping it down on the right-hand side. The penalties come from a header from Souza. He's headed it, and I think it was Jack, I can't remember who it was that was trying to block the shot, but they've tried to block. They put their hand up in the end, the Luton Town defender, and they've blocked it from near enough going straight into the back of the net. Instant penalty from VAR check, and it's 2-0 to Sheffield United.
Thank you very much indeed, Ash. Let's have a catch up with our correspondent in Qatar, Jack Hesson. There's been a chance for Qatar to double their lead in the Asia Cup final.
Yeah, really great chance there from Akram Afif from the corner on the far side. Whips a beautiful outswinger right in towards the middle of the box. Lucas Mendes, the centre-half, was there. He hits his header into the ground, and from point-blank range, forces Yacine Abu Laila and goes Sir Jordan into a great save. Qatar knocking at the door for the second. It really has been the Akram Afif show in this first half. 35 minutes played. It's Jordan 0, Qatar 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Jack. Let's go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where Jackson Cole is watching Tottenham against Brighton. Back to you again, Jackson. There was a chance a little bit earlier for James Maddison. I think we weren't quite able to get to you for a catch-up on. So first of all, tell us about that, and then tell us what else has been happening in the game.
Yeah, chances at both ends. That first one, as you say, going to James Maddison was a lovely curling effort. Jason Steele beaten all ends up, but it whistled just past the post to preserve Brighton's lead. Then Brighton went up the other end, and Kaoru Mitoma, he poked the ball towards goal, and it needed another acrobatic save by Vicario to prevent Tottenham from going 2-0 down. And James Maddison, he's actually been booked for a late challenge on Tariq Lamptey. He's got to be a bit careful, Maddison, because there was a faint penalty appeal for Stupinian shoulder barging Dejan Kulusevski, and Maddison had 1 or 2 things to say to the referee, and as he's on a yellow card, he needs to be a bit careful, otherwise it might turn into a red, or is it blue? Who knows with what's been going on this week. But right now, with 39 minutes on the clock, Tottenham 0, Brighton 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Jackson. Yes, we were listening to Jurgen Klopp's thoughts and feelings on the idea of introducing the blue card into football. I think he shares your potential disdain for bringing such a measure into the game. Largely, the professional game has shunned the prospect, but who knows, frankly, given what the powers that be at FIFA and IFAB just often seem to think will be a good idea to bring into football to simplify things, often ends up complicating things a little bit further, doesn't it? Let's cross to Anfield, though, for our other feature game of the afternoon, where Liverpool host Burnley, of course. Richard Bond is there for us. Richard, there's been another chance for Liverpool to double their lead. Tell us more.
Yeah, Liverpool trying to turn the screw now just before half-time, and it was an effort really for Darwin Nunez. He got played through by Luis Diaz through the offside trap on the right-hand side. His shot smashed across the face of goal, done everything right, but he's put a really good save from James Trafford, who was you could say was really at fault for the goal for Liverpool. Liverpool looking much more brighter of the teams, and yet again for Burnley, it's a goal behind as they're going into the break. It's Liverpool 1, Burnley 0, 3 minutes to play.
Let's stay with you for just a second, if we can, Richard. But you mentioned James Trafford there earlier. There will be eyes, of course, on Quiveen Kelleher, who is in goal for Liverpool this afternoon. Have Burnley managed to test him properly yet?
Yeah, he pulled off a really good save from Seki Amdouni in the early stages when Burnley had the better of the play, and he's looked solid when he's played this season. You know, I really like the keeper. Like, he doesn't get many chances. The sign of a good keeper really is to come in and perform when you're ready. That's why Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp wants to keep hold of him. But you know, he's doing his job today as Liverpool are ahead. Burnley just not quite at the races yet, though. Liverpool 1, Burnley 0.
Thank you very much indeed for that update. We've almost played you the adverts jingle once again, just slightly ahead of schedule. Apologies for that. We'll be going for an ad break in about 10 minutes time. So don't forget to give FJ, who is in the studio this afternoon, don't forget to give him a call. Let him know what you think of the Premier League action so far this afternoon. It's been an absolute goal fest so far. Goal in all of the games we are covering. 6 goals in our 2 1:30 kickoffs, and no fewer than 8 across our 5 games this afternoon that have kicked off at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock local time in the UK, in England, where the games are, of course, taking place. Producer John says I can shamelessly blame him for that error. And don't worry, John, I would never, ever point out that that was completely your fault. And in absolutely no way did I have anything to do with it. I wouldn't dream of bringing that up. Meanwhile, there has been a chance for Bournemouth at Craven Cottage. So let's cross over to Paul James and get an update from him. A chance for Bournemouth to reduce the deficit.
Yes, it was a chance on the edge of the penalty area, which was pulled just wide, but it's still Fulham 2, Bournemouth 0.
Thank you very much. There's been another goal at Anfield.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Thank you very much for that update from Craven Cottage, Paul. But there's been a goal at Anfield, and it has gone the way of Burnley. A potential upset on the cards, I think. Well, there certainly might be even a draw, you'd have to say, would probably be an upset. Liverpool, of course, reeling from their defeat to Arsenal last weekend, went a goal up in this game, and Burnley have turned it around towards the end of the first half and have dragged themselves level. The goals absolutely flying in here on Football Live on Brilla FM. No fewer than 10 across all 6 games this afternoon, after we had 6 goals in our 2 earlier kickoffs. Paul James has updated us. There are 7 minutes of added time left to be played at the end of the first half in the game between Fulham and Bournemouth. So plenty of time for a third game before the interval there. 6 minutes of injury time to be played at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Let's catch up with Richard Bond, though, who has now got a report for us on Burnley's equaliser. Richard, against the run of play, perhaps?
Yeah, unbelievable, Alex. And it's Burnley who are back level just as we come into half-time. I said Liverpool are on top, but Burnley are back level. Unbelievable. So we got a goal coming straight from a corner. Second corner scored in this game is Josh Brownhill has brought it in from the left-hand side. Very similar to Liverpool's goal. And Dara O'Shea power header into the back of the net. Tell you what, one for the centre-halves club, that one. Liverpool 1, Burnley 1, just coming into the end of stoppage time in the first half.
Thank you very much indeed, Richards. Let's catch up with Tom Cooney, who has got an update from Wolves against Brentford. Tom.
Thanks, Alex. We've had a couple of chances for Wolves since we last spoke, and it's no coincidence that since Pedro Neto has started to get into this game, Wolves have taken charge. He's had a couple of chances. The first one, it was Neto on the left, finds half a yard and whips in a brilliant ball across the 6-yard box. It's crying out for someone to be on the end of it. The keeper didn't want to come, the defenders didn't want to touch it, but no one could get a touch. And a couple of minutes later, he pops up on the right. This time, someone else is providing the cross. He finds a bit of space at the far post, heads down into the ground, and the ball looks like it's going to bounce into the net, but Flecken gets down and flicks a strong wrist to keep the ball out. Wolves so close to an equaliser. We're into first half stoppage time, of which there are 3 minutes added on. It remains Wolves 0, Brentford 1.
Thank you very much, Tom. Let's have a catch up with Paul James once again. Paul, I feel like we've come to you a few times this afternoon, but there's been another chance for Fulham, unbelievably. 2 goals to the good, and they could have had a third.
Indeed, this game could have been over. Willian played the ball into the penalty area on the corner on the left-hand side. What an opportunity for Anthony Robinson. He'd maybe taken it wide a little bit, but he forced an excellent save from Nato. And then the ball rebounded to the edge of the penalty area again, and Anthony Robinson got another chance and struck the shot just wide. As it stands, it's Fulham 2, Bournemouth 0. Fulham with a win can leapfrog Bournemouth into 12th place.
Thanks for the update, Paul. We've been swinging to and from Craven Cottage frequently this afternoon. Hopefully that continues in the second half. Just to remind you, Fulham are 2 goals to the good at Craven Cottage at home to Bournemouth, 1.14. Now a home victory there, 9.0 the draw. For Bournemouth to reduce the deficit by 2 goals, 19.0 for them to turn it around fully and get an unlikely away win in our 2 feature games of the afternoon. Liverpool and Burnley are currently a goal apiece, so currently a share of the spoils looks likely, but might be on the cards there to cause an upset at Anfield and plunge further despair on Liverpool fans as they bid to win the Premier League in Jurgen Klopp's final campaign as manager. 1.40 a Liverpool win, 4.33 the draw, 10.0 according to nairabet.com for a Burnley victory. So the odds very much stacked in Liverpool's favour at this stage. Spurs 0, Brighton 1 is the latest from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs now 3.1 for a home victory, 3.5 is the draw, and 2.3 for a Brighton victory. And it's half time now at Liverpool, so we can confirm that the first half has come to an end in the contest between so the first half has come to an end in the contest between Liverpool and Burnley. We're due for a break, I think in about 5 minutes time. I think we're going to go for a little break now. Just to remind you, this is Football Live. Right, sorry about that. If I'm fed you false news there, fake information from producer John has been fed to me here on Football Live. Apologies for the mix-up there. We are going to go back to Nigeria in about 4 minutes' time. But before we do that, we're going to round off the rest of the Premier League action. I'll try and give you an update on all the games as best we can in the remaining 4 minutes before we do eventually go back to Nigeria and how you guys can have a chat with FJ at half time. Let's have a chat with Richard Bond. Richard, sorry for the mix-up just a few moments ago, but you can bring us a half-time report, Liverpool against Burnley.
Yeah, it's half-time. Yeah, it's at Anfield. It's Liverpool 1, Burnley 1. Entertaining stuff we've had in this first half. And a bit of a surprise, really, seeing Burnley having the better of the spell of the first period. And they did take the lead against the run of play later in the half. But it was a good save early doors, really, to keep Zeki Amdouni out by Calvin Kelleher, really, just to keep the scores level at the beginning. Diogo Jota, I'm afraid, took lead for Liverpool, and then Burnley equalised just before the break then with a power header from Dara It was Dara O'Shea then just on the break. But even Stevens here at half-time. It's Liverpool 1, Burnley 1.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Alex Guildford.
Yes, welcome back to Football Live here on Brilla FM. Sorry for confusing you all, telling you we were going for a break, then we weren't, and then we were again. Of course, FJ didn't seem to mind too much that we sent you back to him 5 minutes or so early. The advantage, of course, of sending you there early is that you get to come back to us 5 minutes early here as well. So every cloud has a silver lining, as they say. Just to remind you of the scores on the doors here on Football Live on Brilla FM. At half-time, it is Wolves 0, Brentford 1, Luton 0, Sheffield United 2, Fulham 2, Bournemouth 0, Spurs 0, Brighton 1, and Liverpool 1, Burnley 1. And we are also, of course, bringing you updates from the Asia Cup final between Jordan and Qatar. Currently, Qatar are leading that game by a 1-0. I think we've got Richard Bond with us still at the moment, and Richard, we were in the process we were about to go and get a halftime report from you from your game between Liverpool and Burnley. I'm pleased to say we can finally get that from you now. Thanks for your patience. How was the first half?
It was a very interesting first half, and against the run of play, really, Burnley have, not against the run of play, but against the run of form, Burnley have been the better side in this first half, and but they fell behind to Diego Jota's goal midway through the first half against the run of play after having some good, really early chances. It's been what's happened a lot this season with Burnley, but they did strike back just on the stroke of half-time through O'Shea's header, bullet header, but both goals have come through set pieces. Incidentally now, we're just kicking off the second half, and we've got some news really. Trent Alexander-Arnold has gone off. I'm presuming it's an injury, and he's been replaced by Harvey Elliott. So I think it seems to be Curtis Jones who's gone to right back. So that'd be an interesting one for Liverpool to cope with, obviously without Conor Bradley today as well. So interesting second half ahead here, but just kicking off now. It's Liverpool 1, Burnley 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Richard. Fascinating turn of events there. Disappointing one, possibly not only for Trent Alexander-Arnold and Liverpool fans, but also for England fans as well. You can't help but think the England squad this year's Euros will be stronger with Trent Alexander-Arnold in it. He's had a couple of injury problems of late, hasn't he? So disappointing that he's had to go off at half-time in Liverpool's clash at Anfield against Burnley. I meant to say when we last went back to FJ, he asked a little piece of trivia to myself and producer John. He asked me who opened the score last time Tottenham Hotspur and Brighton and Hove Albion played against each other. I'm afraid my research hadn't been quite that thorough, but a man whose research definitely had been thorough enough was, of course, Jackson Cole. Jackson, we're going to get a halftime report from you. But before you do that, who was the scorer that day?
It was Jack Hinshelwood who opened the scoring back in December in the reverse fixture. That finished 4-2 to Brighton. And Brighton, they're on track for another win at Tottenham.
Yes, they are indeed. Give us a little summary of the first half, if you will.
Yeah, sure. Tottenham 0, Brighton 1. Pascal Gross's penalty is what separates the two sides at the moment in North London. It was a bad goal for Spurs to concede as Rodrigo Bentancur was dispossessed on the edge of the Spurs box before Danny Welbeck was tripped up with a clumsy challenge by Mickey van der Ven. Gross scored, and both Welbeck and Kaoru Mitoma have come close to netting either side of that Gross penalty, with the visitors looking dangerous at points. Spurs, they didn't really get playing until the 20-minute mark when Richarlison missed a one-on-one, while James Maddison's curling effort whistled just past the post. Generally, Spurs, they've lacked a cutting edge going forward, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Heung-min Son come on after the break. Tottenham 0, Brighton 1.
Thank you very much indeed. The second half has just got underway at Molineux between Wolves and Brentford. It is still half-time at Kenilworth Road where Sheffield United are visiting Luton, and it's still half-time at Craven Cottage between Fulham and Bournemouth rather. So let's have a quick catch up with Tom Cooney, who's at Molineux for us. Second half just got underway, Tom, but first of all, give us your thoughts and feelings on the first half.
It was an excellent first half of football. We had chances spurned at both ends, really. You have to say Brentford probably had the clearer cut one, so they will have been relieved to go in ahead at half-time. It was Christian Norgard that headed home from Sergio Reguilon's corner after 35 minutes to give the Bees the lead. Wolves did respond well, though. Pedro Neto was very bright in the last 10 minutes of the half, almost found an equaliser with his header at the far post. They'll need him in this second half to be at his best, really, after that disappointment of losing Matheus Cunha. They have made one change at half-time, Wolves. Totti has gone off, replaced by Nathan Foster. I'm not sure if that's for injury or tactical, but one change for Wolves at half-time as they seek to try and get back in this game. As you mentioned, just a couple of minutes gone in the second half. Wolves 0, Brentford 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Tom. And this, I think it's about the fourth or fifth time this has happened this afternoon, but a correspondent hands back to me and then the ball ends up in the back of the net in the game that they were covering. There has been a goal at Molineux.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it has gone the way of the home side Wolves. Veteran defender Craig Dawson at the ripe old age of 33. Oh, it's not that old really in relative terms, in real terms, is it? But for a footballer, he's doing remarkably well to still be playing at the level he is. And he has scored an equaliser for Wolverhampton Wanderers at home to Brentford after Christian Nordgaard put the Bees ahead in the first half. We're getting a catch up from Tom in a second, Tom Cooney, who we were just speaking to. But before we do that, let's have the thoughts and feelings of Paul James on the first half of the game. He's covering for us at Craven Cottage between Fulham and Bournemouth.
Yes, thanks very much. And yeah, half-time 2-0. Bournemouth have had a ton of chances. Dominic Solanke having a couple to add to his 13 goals this season. Marcus Tavernier coming close as well, and Alex Scott. The goals came on 5 minutes with Bobby Decordova-Reid, and he also assisted on Rodrigo Munez's goal on 35 minutes. The second half has just gotten underway here. It's Fulham 2, Bournemouth 0.
Thank you very much indeed, Paul. There is a VAR check going on at Molineux, and I'm sorry to say, Wolves fans, your goal has been disallowed by VAR. We will head back over to have a chat with Tom Cooney in a moment or two to get an update on that. But there has, in the meantime, been another goal at Anfield.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Liverpool on the return from their disappointing loss away at Arsenal last weekend edged themselves ahead at home to Burnley early in the first half thanks to Diogo Jota. Then Dara O'Shea dragged one back on the cusp of half-time for the away side. And now Luis Diaz has put Liverpool back in front. So excellent news for Reds fans and excellent news for those of us who are looking for a competitive three-way title race. Liverpool, if the score remains the same or if they do indeed leave Anfield with all 3 points, they will leapfrog Man City and go back to the top of the tree. At least for the time being, until Arsenal play tomorrow. In fact, Arsenal can't even overtake them, at least until Man City next play. Of course, just a few moments ago, we brought you news that Wolves had, we thought, dragged themselves level, but VAR had disallowed the goal. Tom Cooney's got the latest on that. Tom.
Yeah, it's a heart-sinking moment, really, not just for Wolves fans, but I think for football fans as well at this point, because it's one of those where, for all the world, it looks like it's onside, and it's the outstretched end of his boot that has led to this goal being disallowed. It was a corner from Pedro Neto that was cleared initially, worked back out to the Portuguese winger. He put in a fantastic ball that Craig Dawson got across his man and glanced into the far corner. I didn't see anything wrong with it on first touch, but obviously VAR, it draws the lines. His body was onside, but his outstretched boot had him offside by a toe, so that goal has been ruled out. hugely disappointing, but Wolves have started this second half very well. 53 minutes gone, Wolves 0, Brentford 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Tom. There is a VAR check having a little look at Luis Diaz's goal for Liverpool, what would prospectively be Liverpool's second goal of the game. So before we do that, in fact, actually, I can announce that there's been a goal at Craven Cottage. Before we do anything else,
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
yes, there has been a goal the way of Bournemouth, the away side at Craven Cottage. They've pulled one back in their bid to overturn the 2-goal deficit that they found themselves on the wrong side of at half-time. There's been a penalty awarded to Luton at Kenilworth Road, an opportunity for them to get one back at home to Sheffield United. They found themselves 2 goals down at half-time, and in fact, there has now been a goal at Kenilworth Road.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And as you can probably guess, Luton Town have pulled one back from the penalty spot at Kenilworth Road against Sheffield United. Let's go and have a little chat with Richard Bond before we get the latest from Kenilworth Road. Because, Richard, we need you to tell us what happened in that VAR check. What was the check about?
Right, well, if we start away, Liverpool have taken the lead, yeah, and it's Luis Diaz who scored the goal, and the VAR check was for, basically, it's a foul, looking at something that Alexis McAllister had done, I think, really, such in the build-up. So I think he'd sort of fouled Ramsey, but they went to have a little look at it, and they didn't give it for that. So anyway, the goal came from, it was Harvey Elliott's cross, came in from the left-hand side. Ball was half cleared, the edge of the box. Endo's won the ball back. He's played into Diaz back in, and he's just headed it home past Trafford, who didn't really have a chance with that one. But yeah, it was very debatable at the time. But the Burnley fans a little bit aggrieved with this one. Vincent Kompany's in the book, and Jurgen Klopp already in the book as well. Interesting game, this one. Bit feisty, with a lot more to come with but half an hour to go. Liverpool 2, Burnley 1.
Thank you very much, Jurgen Klopp and Vincent Kompany, both happy there are no blue cards on offer at Anfield this afternoon. There has been another goal at Craven Cottage.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Yes, there has been a 4th goal at Craven Cottage, and after pulling one back, Bournemouth have conceded again. So it's now 3-1 to Fulham at Craven Cottage. Let's cross over to Paul James, who's at Craven Cottage for us. Let's have a chat. Paul, tell us about the goal.
Well, absolutely incredible stuff. Bournemouth get an equaliser from a corner that was swung in. Marcus Tavernier just headed the ball down, and the goal was scored by Senesi, who turned in the penalty area and struck it home. Fulham responded almost immediately as Willian got to the corner of the penalty area, swung the cross in towards the back post, and on the back post for his second goal was Rodrigo Muniz, who took the ball away. It's Fulham 3, Bournemouth 1.
Thank you very much, Paul. Let's cross to Kenilworth Road, where Ash Sandiford is for us this afternoon. Sheffield United put themselves 2 goals to the good inside 36 minutes, first through Cameron Archer and then James McAtee. But Ash, Luton have got a lifeline by way of a penalty. Tell us how it happened.
Yeah, they certainly have, and Kenilworth Road is rocking. Luton are back in it. It's Luton 1, Sheffield United 2, and it's a goal from Carlton Morris from the penalty spot. It was a very dubious penalty, to be honest with you. It's Elijah Adebayo towers up in the air, and he heads the ball against Vinicius Sousa's arm. He can't even get his arm out of the way. The ball is actually not even going towards goal, and it's still been given a penalty. Poor decision, I believe, but that's not my job to decide who should get a penalty or not. But in the end, Carlton Morris steps up, calmly slots it in the corner, and Luton are back in the game. It's Luton 1, Sheffield United 2.
Thank you very much, Ash. Carlton Morris's promising form from the penalty spot, again paying dividends for his side. Goals absolutely flying in here on Football Live on Brilla FM, 88.9 FM in Nigeria, on the app, and of course online at Brilla.net. It's not just the Premier League we are covering for you, it's the other Confederation final, not the big one, of course, for as far as Nigeria fans are concerned, that's happening tomorrow, but the final of the Asia Cup between Jordan and Qatar. And Jack Hesson is at the Lusail Stadium in Qatar and has an update for us. The second half has just got underway, Jack.
Yeah, we're 50 minutes into the game. It's still Jordan 0, Qatar 1. Of course, the big difference being that Akram Afif penalty. Jordan had an excellent chance at the end of the first half. It was Al Naimi in the box. He found space for the shot. It bait Barsham in goals, but cleared off the line by Tariq Salman to keep the game at 1-0 Qatar. I should add, these two did play each other in a friendly on the 5th of January. Jordan came back in the second half to win that game by 2-1 after Akram Afif scored a penalty in the first half. So Jordan will be hoping history repeats itself here. 50 minutes on the clock. It's Jordan 0, Qatar 1.
Jack Hesson, our man on the spot in Qatar, reporting from the Asia Cup final between Qatar, the host nation, and Jordan. Qatar currently a goal to the good. We'll get back to the Premier League action in just a moment's time, but just to remind you of what else is happening across Europe this afternoon, bringing some live scores in Serie A. Lazio are currently 3-1 up away at Cagliari. That's the only game going on in Italy at the moment. Most of the games kicking off tomorrow afternoon. In the German Bundesliga, there's 5 games underway. Heidenheim are 2-1 up away at Werder Bremen. Eintracht Frankfurt and Bochum. It's 1-1 between those two sides. Borussia Mönchengladbach and Darmstadt is goalless. Augsburg 2, RB Leipzig 2 is a latest score in Augsburg, and Union Berlin had been struggling to replicate the fine form they displayed last season, really struggling to replicate it this year, but they do seem to have turned a bit of a corner recently and are currently a goal to the good up at home to Wolfsburg. That game is about to approach half-time. The other games in the Bundesliga are approaching sort of the business end of things. Lots of them in injury time now or close to it. And the game between Borussia Mönchengladbach and Darmstadt, that's got 15 minutes or so of normal time left to play. In La Liga in Spain, the only live game there at the moment is between Real Sociedad and Osasuna. That one is currently goalless. We brought you a game from the Championship earlier, so I might as well update you with the scores from the Championship as they currently stand. Blackburn 3-1 up at home to Stoke. Sunderland 2, Plymouth 1 is a latest score. Bristol City away at Middlesbrough find themselves 2 goals to the good. QPR are 2-1 down to Norwich. On the hour mark. Southampton 2, Huddersfield 2 is a later score. Goals absolutely flying in across England at the moment. England and Wales, of course, because Cardiff are 2-0 down at home to Preston. Watford are 2-0 down to runaway Championship leaders Leicester at home. Leeds 2, Rotherham 0 is a latest score. And Hull find themselves a 0 down at home to Swansea. So that's the latest there. Meanwhile, in the Premier League, of course, where we're bringing you action from our 5 live 4 p.m. kickoffs, it's Wolves 0, Brentford 1, a latest score. A Wolves victory, currently 8.5, just had a goal disallowed for offside by VAR. 3.5 is the draw. 1.57 an away win, shortening by the minute as they enter the final half an hour of that contest. Luton 1, Sheffield United 2 means that Luton are currently 5.5 on NairaBet at the moment for a victory. 3.2 the draw. 1.83 a valuable Sheffield United win. Fulham 3, Bournemouth 1 is the latest score at Craven Cottage. Fulham now 1.11 for the victory, 10.0 the draw, 26.0 an away win for Bournemouth. They would need at least 3 goals if they were to overcome the current deficit, but Nairobet pricing that up at surprisingly short odds. I think that one. Spurs 0, Brighton 1. It remains at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs victories 4.20, 3.2 is the draw, 2.05 things to remain as they are, or certainly the results to remain as it is. Currently 2.05 for a Brighton win. Liverpool 2-1 up at home to Burnley. It's now 1.08 for a Liverpool victory. Not a huge amount of value there. Burnley, surprisingly, perhaps drew themselves level just on the break of half-time. If you think the game will finish level, it's 9.5 currently for a draw at Anfield. 51.0 is the price for an away win, a Burnley win, a historic Burnley win at Anfield, and a very valuable 3 points it would be for Vincent Kompany's side. Meanwhile, there has been another goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
The goals, powered by Nairobet.
And it has gone the way of the home side, Tottenham Hotspur. They've dragged themselves level after going a 1-0 down in the first half. Haven't had an update on who the scorer is just yet. Oh, it's Sarr. Sarr, the midfielder, defensive midfielder. Sarr, perhaps surprisingly putting his side level. But when you're a 0-0 down at home to a good team like Brighton, you don't care who scores the goal, do you? You just one can go in off your proverbial backside. You don't care who it goes in off. So not good news for anyone's fantasy football teams, which I mentioned several times. The goal is currently, of course, being reviewed by VAR. Pape Sarr's goal, I think it's been given, so we'll get an update from our correspondent at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Jackson Cole, in a few moments' time. In fact, let's go straight over to Jackson now, who is at Tottenham Hotspur and ready for us. Jackson, Tottenham find themselves level.
Yes, Tottenham won, Brighton won, and a very surprise scorer, Pape Matar, who was a surprise starter this afternoon, but what a decision that's proved to be for Ange Postecoglou. But full marks to Dejan Kulusevski with a lovely ball inside from that right wing. Playing Sarr through on goal. He actually tried to play it across to Richarlison, the unselfish option. Lewis Dunk intercepted it, it hit the post, and then it was an easy finish for Sarr just to tap it in. Ange Postecoglou, he looks like he's going to bring on Heung-min Son as captain as Tottenham look for those all-important 3 points. It's Tottenham 1, Brighton 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Jackson Cole at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for us this afternoon, where Tottenham Hotspur have just dragged themselves level. Meanwhile, at Kenilworth Road, Ash Sandiford has the latest for us there, where Sheffield United are 2-1 up at Luton Town. Ash, what have you got for us?
Yeah, it's still Luton Town 1, Sheffield United 2, but Luton are starting to throw the kitchen sink at Sheffield United. A couple of chances again for Carlton Morris getting in behind in the end, but to be honest with you, it's Sheffield United are now defending for their lives. The last time they won a game, Sheffield United, was back in December at home to Brentford, December the 9th it was. So they'll be looking to try and close this one out, but it's a really, really entertaining last 28 minutes here. It's Luton 1, Sheffield United 2.
Thank you very much indeed, Ash. Just to update you on the game at Tottenham, Son Heung-min has come on for Tottenham Hotspur, so perhaps a potential injection of pace that could prove quite valuable for the home side. Let's have a chat with Tom Cooney, who is at Wolves against Brentford for us. Has there been any sign of Wolves pulling themselves level in this, Tom?
Plenty of signs so far, but everything but a goal. It's all one-way traffic here at Molineux. Wolves have had plenty of chances. Pedro Neto's been at the heart of a lot of it. He had a chance himself. There's been headers for Kilman from a corner. Ait Nouri had a great header, a great opportunity with his head inside the 6-yard box, but Wolves have not been able to find the breakthrough. They almost had a chance that would have been quite a self-destruction, really. A terrible back pass by a Brentford player sent Flecken out to try and collect it. The ball went out for a throw-in, and if Flecken hadn't picked the ball up and thrown it away, the quick throw-in probably would have resulted in an equaliser. He's taken a yellow card for the team, but with 66 minutes gone, it remains Wolves 0, Brentford 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Tom. Let's swing away from the Premier League for just a second and catch up on the Asia Cup final between Jordan and Qatar. Jack Hesson is on the ground for us in Lusail, Qatar's second largest city behind Doha. Jack, what's the latest on the game there?
Yeah, we just had a very decent chance from Jordan there. It was from a short corner taken quickly. Aliyad Olwan set up Mahmoud Mardi very nicely on the edge of the area to whip and then swing it into the back post. It looked destined to find the head of Abdallah Nasib, but just went wide. Jordan coming back into this game now. 58 minutes on the clock. It's certainly not over. Jordan 0, Qatar 1.
Thank you, Jack. The action is well and truly in full swing all across the Premier League. A huge chance, news of a huge chance at Anfield coming up in just a second. But let's catch up with Paul James, who is at Craven Cottage for us. It's all going on there, Paul.
Yes, absolutely. A glorious opportunity in the penalty area for Dominic Solanke. He did a bicycle kick and it looked all for the world like it was going in, and it took a deflection off Willian and just cleared the crossbar of Neto. A yellow card given to Dominic Solanke for backing into the Fulham defender Timothy Castagna, but also now we've just had a double substitution as well. Harrison Reed and Wilson have come on, and they've replaced Tom Kearney and Bobby Decordova-Reid. Change for Fulham. Antoine Semenyo is on for Alex Scott. We have 65 minutes gone, and it's 3-1 to Fulham.
Superb stuff, Paul. Thank you very much. I mentioned there was a huge chance, news of a huge chance coming in from the game at Anfield. Richard Bond, it hasn't gone the way perhaps our listeners will be expecting.
No, it's all Burnley in this second half now, and they're really pushing for an equaliser. And Keller has made a brilliant save from Ogerbert not too long ago, but this was the best chance of the lot now they've had, and it's from Fofana, and Amdouni played a really nice pass in behind, split the defence open, and he's only got Keller to beat, but he's got more time than he thinks, but he's just smashed the shot and it's just gone past the far post. He really should have scored, and I think that sums up Burnley's season for me at the moment. They're just not taking their chances. Liverpool still lead though with 20 minutes to play. Liverpool 2, Burnley 1.
Thank you very much, Richard Bond at Anfield for us. Let's swing to Kenilworth Road, where there's plenty of action unpacking there. Luton Town trying to get themselves level at home to Sheffield United. 2-1, 2 goals to 1 down. They find themselves. Ash, tell us more.
Yeah, it's Luton again. It's Luton Town 1, Sheffield United 2, and they're really, again, like I said, putting lots of pressure now on that Sheffield United back four. And it was again Carlton Morris. He's in and around it today. He's come from a throw-in, to be honest with you. He's got his back to goal and he's rolled the defender. He's about 18 yards out and he's curled it left foot with his left foot. Just goalkeeper's just tipped it round the post. Great opportunity for Luton Town. They've just brought on Andros Townsend, the ex. Tottenham and Crystal Palace player, but yeah, he's on now and he'll be looking to get himself on the ball. He's a dead ball specialist and getting some balls whipped into the box. But Luton are all over Sheffield United. It's Luton 1, Sheffield United 2.
Thank you very much, Ash. We recently told you news of an equaliser for Tottenham at home to Brighton. The score currently there 1-1. There's been a chance for Tottenham to put themselves a goal to the good up for the first time in the game. Jackson, tell us more.
Yes, and it fell to Brennan Johnson, who came on at the same time as Heung-min Son, as well as Yves Bissouma. It was brilliant play by the Tottenham captain, wriggled himself into space, played Johnson in on that right-hand channel, but he could only fire it straight at Jason Steele. It is all Tottenham at the moment. It's Tottenham 1, Brighton 1.
Thanks very much indeed, Jackson. We're going to go to our other feature game in the Premier League. Have a quick catch-up with Richard Bond, because we were just talking about Burnley being the dominant side at Anfield, but a chance against the run of play and a fantastic save from the Burnley goalkeeper, Richard.
Oh yeah, it pays to have a great goalkeeper, didn't it? And James Trafford's made a brilliant save from Darwin Nunez. Luis Diaz really made a lot of space on the left-hand side. He's found Nunez in the middle, and he's just tried to take way too much time on the ball, and he's tried to smash it then, but Trafford's there just to spread himself, just to save save the shot, and he's palmed it around the post. But straight from that, Kwanzaa has come up with a header, and he's just inches away from putting them 2 goals to the good. But interesting game. I don't know which way this is going to go. We still got 20 minutes to play. Liverpool 2, Burnley 1.
Thank you very much, Richard. Liverpool not quite producing the goods at this stage. Many of our listeners will remember when Sir Alex Ferguson initially announced he was retiring from Manchester United. It just seemed to take the wind out of his side's sails just a little bit as they entered the run-in, and Sir Alex Ferguson ended up changing his mind about retiring. You just wonder if Liverpool continue to perhaps just struggle a little bit, whether Jurgen Klopp might be tempted to change his mind. It would be certainly a fantastic move as far as Liverpool fans were concerned. The most successful manager they've had in living memory for many of us listeners. Pulling away from the Premier League once again for a few moments with our game, the Asia Cup final between Jordan and Qatar. Jack Hesson is there, and Jack has an update for us. There's been a chance for Jordan to pull themselves level.
Yeah, there's been two excellent chances. 64 minutes in, the first one, corner. Alwan whipped in towards Yazan Al Arab, the defender. He opts to go for an extravagant bicycle kick. Well saved by Bersham. And then just as you come to me there, a shot there from Al Naimat forces Bersham into another save, and the deflection almost falls to Alwan, who goes for an extravagant flick, and it goes just inches wide of the left-hand corner. There was concern for Qatar as Bersham was down from that save for a couple of minutes, but he's back up on his feet now. Jordan hunting for the equaliser here. 64 minutes on the clock. Jordan 0, Qatar 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Jack Hesson in Lusail for us for the Asia Cup final between Jordan and Qatar. There's a double substitution to bring you news of at Craven Cottage from Paul James now.
Yes, so Enes Unal has come on along with Dango Utara, and they've been replaced by Marcus Tavernier and Luis Sinistera. So fairly attacking substitution by Bournemouth as they attempt to get back into this game. They've 20 minutes to do so. Fulham 3, Bournemouth 1.
Thank you very much indeed for the update there. There has been another goal at Kenilworth Road in the meantime.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Well, we build this contest beforehand as a relegation six-pointer. Given the form of Luton Town recently, we all thought perhaps, given that they were the home side, they might be able to edge themselves ahead, but it has gone the way of Sheffield United, the fourth goal in that game. So it's currently Luton Town 1, Sheffield United 3 in that vital game at the bottom of the Premier League. And there's been another goal in Qatar.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Qatar bidding to retain the Asia Cup, looking for back-to-back tournament victories, becoming only the fifth side to do so in Asia Cup history. But Jordan have equalised for Qatar, and there's been yet another goal, and it is at Molineux.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Yes, Brentford put themselves a goal to the good up in the first half, thanks to Christian Nordgaard, the defensive midfielder. Wolverhampton Wanderers had an equaliser ruled out, but now Brentford have gone 2 goals up, and Ivan Toney, that man again, cementing, outlining his importance to this Brentford side. He has got the second goal of the game, and we're going to catch up from that in just a second when we have time to from Tom Cooney. But before we do that, we've got a couple of goals to get reports on. Let's go to Ash Sanderford, who is at Kenilworth Road and has details of Sheffield United's third goal of the game, the fourth in the game overall. What can you tell us, Ash?
Yeah, it's come against the run of play. It's Luton 1, Sheffield United 3, and Chris Wilder will be absolutely delighted. It might be looking as their third Premier League victory of the season. It's come from Vinicius Souza in the end with a breakdown in play. It was a great little build-up play, to be honest with you. In the end, it was a mistake from Ross Barkley for Luton, just being lackluster in possession, and it was Ben Osborne picked it up, slipped it into Vinicius Souza, and Vinicius Souza slashed it on the left-hand side, just across the goalkeeper. Great finish, and I think Chris Wilder will be getting his third Premier League victory. It's Luton 1, Sheffield United 3.
Thank you very much indeed, Ash. We've got to bring you news from Molineux, bring you details of the goal. Brentford's second of the afternoon by the way of Ivan Toney. Tom Cooney has the update for us.
Yeah, it's Brentford 2, Wolves 0, and possibly Ivan Toney has put this game to bed. It's come against the run of play. Wolves and Gary O'Neill will be furious. It was Craig Dawson who plays a loose pass out from the back. It's lazy, it's overhit. Brentford win the ball back, and then I think it's Janelt who plays a first-time cross into Ivan Toney, who's in loads of space. Wolves aren't set for it. They're all over the place, and Ivan Toney just guides it home with his first touch into the bottom corner, past Jose Sarr. It's a gift from Wolves, and they've given themselves a lot of work to do to get anything out of this game now. With 78 minutes gone, it's Wolves 0, Brentford 2.
Thank you very much indeed for the update there, Tom. There's been another goal at Anfield.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Liverpool put themselves a goal up just after the half-hour mark in this game. Then Dara O'Shea grabbed one back just before the break. Luis Diaz put Liverpool 2-1 up. And then it sounded like Burnley were just edging themselves back into the game and hedging their bets, looking for an equaliser. But Darwin Núñez, that man who's been much maligned at times for the quality of his finishing, despite his obvious talents as a footballer. He's a brilliant player to watch if he can be a little bit wasteful in front of goal. But he has put Liverpool very much in the driving seat now, and he is 3-1. He has put his side 3-1 up at home to Burnley, and surely now all 3 points for Liverpool are in the bag, which surely means that Liverpool will be back to the top of the Premier League at the end of the day today, and presumably at the end of the weekend as well, because Arsenal will not be able to catch them even if they do secure a victory away at West Ham. Tomorrow we've got news of a penalty in the Asia Cup final to bring you in a few moments time, but let's have in fact, we can't swing back to Anfield just yet because Richard Bond is just preparing a report on that third Liverpool goal. News of a chance for them a couple of minutes before that. We'll be getting the latest from Jack Hesson from Qatar in just a few moments' time. The penalty has gone the way of the reigning champions Qatar, so an opportunity for them to put themselves 2-1 to the good. We can now cross to Richard Bond at Anfield to talk us through Darwin Núñez's goal for Liverpool, his first of the afternoon, Liverpool's third.
Yeah, game, set, and match now surely for Liverpool as they've gone 3-1 up against Burnley, and Darwin Núñez just scored an absolute blinder of a header. What a powerful header that is. And I thought O'Shea's one was good. This one was much better. But it was all resulting from a corner, played into the box, half cleared. Harvey Elliott swung it back in. There's Núñez right at the back post, leapt like a salmon, like Cristiano Ronaldo, smashes a header right into the back corner. Oh, what a goal. Liverpool 3, Burnley 1.
Thank you very much. We'll get details of the penalty in Qatar before too long, but this is Football Live.
It's AFCON all the way on Football Live. Come on, you Super Eagles!
Straight down the middle and Nigeria lead.
Yes! I'm a Nigerian! I'm proud of my country.
Second, it's a tap-in for Osimhen, and Nigeria now have hit their stride.
You guys were exceptional. You were amazing.
A couple of steps away against Williams, sends Nigeria into the final.
You made our country proud.
Well, come down, look at that header from Osimhen. He is super dangerous.
Nigeria, let me say it again. We are the bedrock of Africa.
It's Ademola Lookman at the double for Nigeria.
We are bringing the cup back home. Thank you, God bless you.
Good luck to the Super Eagles from everyone at Football Live.
Tomorrow afternoon, Football Live will be here as the build-up to the AFCON final hots up. Top Premier League action as Arsenal go to West Ham in a big London derby. All the AFCON build-up too as the focus turns towards the Super Eagles on a gigantic day of football right here on Briller FM.
Nigeria are the favourites to bring home the trophy. Get involved in NairaBet Super Sunday Special and net yourself a free bet. After a crazy tournament, Osimhen and Nigeria take on the Ivory Coast, and we are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to 500 Naira. Whether you back the Super Eagles or the Elephants, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log in to www.nairabet.com. Bet on the AFCON final, Nigeria versus Ivory Coast. Receive your 100% matched free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match market or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18. Minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
Hello and a very good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody.
Absolute screamer.
Bang in form.
Into dreamland.
Oh my God, they were crying.
What was he doing in the box?
Check my phone, mate. He's not in there.
He looks thoroughly disgusted.
They've been absolutely brilliant. That's proper.
So much to tell you about.
So much going on.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
In the Premier League, you just never know.
You are listening to Football Live on Briller FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM. Let's get back to the action and the AFCON final build-up. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live, cheering on the Super Eagles to AFCON glory with Alex Guilford.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back to Football Live here on Briller FM. Got our fingers crossed for Nigeria in the final of the Africa Cup of Nations tomorrow. But today in the Asia Cup final, there has been another goal in Qatar.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it has gone the way of the tournament hosts and the reigning Asian champions. Surprisingly hard to say that. It has gone 2-1 to Qatar in that game now. And Jack Hesson has the latest for it. Slightly fortuitous as far as Qatar are concerned, Jack.
Well, Jordan, we're in absolute dreamland on 67 minutes when Al Naimat fired in the equaliser, but within just minutes, the hearts were broken once again by that man, Akram Afif, dispatching a penalty into the bottom right-hand corner. Once again, there was some dubiousness about that penalty. What happened was Almalez Ali had played in Ismail Mohammed into the box. He was brought down, to be fair, Ismail Mohammed. The referee, Ming Na, from China at the time, said no penalty. We had a couple of minutes before the VAR eventually was checked, so it was quite sudden and there was a bit of confusion about exactly what was being looked at. And when it became apparent that they were looking at the incident from a couple of minutes ago, bewilderment from the Jordan box, but it was given as a penalty. Akram Afif, now the top goal scorer in the Asian Cup, and Qatar coasting to their second one in a row. 76 minutes on the clock. It's Jordan 1, Qatar 2.
Thank you very much indeed, Jack. Wolverhampton Wanderers against Brentford has about 4 minutes left at Molineux. So too Liverpool against Burnley at Anfield. Our other Premier League games, Fulham against Bournemouth, Luton against Sheffield United, and Tottenham against Brighton have around 8 minutes or so left in each of them. Let's head over to Craven Cottage, have a catch up with Paul James. It's been a yellow card for the away side as they perhaps turn slightly more physical in their attempts to drag themselves back into the contest, Paul.
Yes, and there's also been a substitution for Fulham as well. The man that's done the damage, Rodrigo Muniz, has come off. But as if things couldn't get any worse for Bournemouth, on comes Armando Broja, the Chelsea loanee. The foul was by, the actual tackle was by Adam Smith on Andreas Pereira. It was a dreadful challenge and took the man down, and the referee, Darren England, had no option but to give his yellow card. There's 9 minutes left. It's Fulham 3, Bournemouth 1.
The game certainly looks to be dead and buried as far as Bournemouth fans are concerned. did wonder at one point if they had managed to drag themselves back into the contest, but 3-1 down at Craven Cottage as things stand with about 6 or 7 minutes left to play. Fulham 3, Bournemouth 1 means that on nairabet.com, a Fulham victory is 1.01, not a huge amount of value. A draw if you back Bournemouth to bag 2 more goals at the very least, and the game to finish level, 26.0 and 101.0 for a Bournemouth win. Wolves 0, Brentford 2 is the latest from Molineux. It's 101.0 if you think Wolves can overturn that 2-goal deficit with 3 minutes of normal time left to play. If you think they can drag themselves level, it's 29.0, and it's effectively betting suspended for a Brentford win, 1.00, so no value to be found there at all. Luton 1, Sheffield United currently is the score at Kenilworth Road. If you fancy a Luton victory, at least 3 goals needed in the remaining 6 minutes plus injury time. That's 81.0. 21.0 is the draw if you think they can drag themselves level. Sheffield United, though, are currently in cruise control, and 3-1 to the good, so a victory for them is currently 1.02 on nairabet.com. Spurs Brighton, latest score there is still 1-1. Son Heung-min has come on for Tottenham Hotspur, but they haven't been able to add a second after Pape Sarr dragged them level following a Pascal Gross penalty in the first half. Spurs victory is 3.80. 1.57 is the draw. Looks the most likely outcome at this stage. A Brighton victory put themselves ahead once again is 7.0. Liverpool 3, Burnley 1 is at Anfield. Betting effectively suspended on Liverpool win. 1.00 are the odds for that, so no value at all. No returned winnings, just your stake back. 29.0 is the draw if you think Burnley can get 2 back in the remaining 2 minutes of normal time plus injury time, and it's 101.0 for a Burnley victory. They need at least 3 goals. The game in the Asia Cup remains 2-1 to Qatar. They've gone ahead. There are 2 penalties in that game for Qatar. They've just put themselves ahead after Jordan had equalised. So we're just talking about Tottenham Hotspur. Let's have a catch up with Jackson Cole because the home side, Tottenham Hotspur, have had a penalty appeal rejected, Jackson.
Yes, it was an appeal for a handball against Lewis Dunk. Brennan Johnson fired the ball pretty at random into the mixer. It did strike Lewis Dunk on the arm, but it would have been a very, very harsh decision. He was on the stretch and his arms were not in an unnatural position, so if that had been given, we may as well have all gone home, to be honest. Brighton, they finally turned up in an attacking sense in the second half. Ansu Fati really should have given them the lead again a few minutes ago, and then there was another chance which fell to Facundo Buonanotte. His shot was deflected off Mickey van der Ven, totally wrong footing Guillermo Vicario, but bouncing just wide of the Tottenham goal. So with about 5 minutes left of the 90, this game could really go either way. It's Tottenham 1, Brighton 1.
Thank you very much, Jackson. Latest score in La Liga is Real Sociedad 0, Osasuna 1. A potential upset is underway there in Serie A. We're coming right towards the end of the game between Cagliari and Lazio. It's still 3-1 to the away side. Lazio, latest scores from Bundesliga: Heidenheim 2, Werder Bremen 1, Bochum 1, all away at Eintracht Frankfurt. Borussia Mönchengladbach 0, Darmstadt 0. Augsburg against RB Leipzig is still 2-2, and Union Berlin still find themselves a goal up at Wolfsburg. 6 minutes of added time has been signalled at Molineux. Meanwhile, at Craven Cottage, it's been a double sub for the home side. Paul James has the latest.
Yes, double sub and a single sub. So Fulham have made 2 substitutions. Foda Ballatore has come on along with Adama Traore, replacing Andres Pereira and Willian. And the substitute for Bournemouth is Roman Farver, has come on for Adam Smith. So that's both sides using all 5 of their substitutions now. There's 3 minutes to go. It's Fulham 3, Bournemouth 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Paul. 8 minutes of injury time have been announced at Anfield. Let's catch up with Richard Bond, who has got the latest there for us. Liverpool very much in the driving seat surely now, Richard.
Yeah, very much so. And they just had another chance as well. Corner came in, and it's been set pieces this afternoon that are undone, Burnley. If Darwin Nunez now has had a free header from about 12 yards. He's just headed over the bar. He should have scored this one. He only seemed to score those hard chances, didn't he? But Liverpool, they got the 3 points wrapped up here. It's Liverpool 3, Burnley 1, with a few minutes left to stop this to go.
Thank you very much, Richard. We'll be getting all the latest from you when the final whistle does indeed blow at Anfield. Before we do that, we can cross over to Tom Cooney, who's got the latest from Molineux. Wolves v Brentford, just in danger of fizzling out a little bit now as the result looks certain. What can you tell us, Tom?
Yeah, Alex, it's been a bit of a dull last 10 minutes. A lot of the shots I'm seeing are images of fans leaving the ground, walking out, because Wolves have not really been able to inspire the fans since that second goal went in. There's been little reaction. We've got 4 minutes to go here. Wolves just have a free kick, so maybe a goal could make it interesting, but it doesn't look like it at this stage. 92 minutes gone. It's Wolves 0, Brentford 2.
Thank you very much indeed, Tom. Disappointing afternoon for Wolves fans. Mateus Cunha has gone off injured. They had a goal disallowed for offside, which would have put the score at 1-1 before Ivan Toney added a second for Brentford, and has really put the game beyond the home side's reach. In our game in Qatar, though, Jordan currently 2-1 down against the reigning champions Qatar. Jack Hesson has news of an opportunity for Qatar to really put the game to bed.
Yeah, and it's Akram Afif hunting for his hat-trick. A free kick, dangerous area just outside the box. It didn't really favour a right footer, but it didn't stop him from getting a great chance on target, curling it around the wall, forcing Yadid Abu Laila goals into a great saving out for a corner. So Qatar trying to shore things up here. 84 minutes on the clock. It's Jordan 1, Qatar 2.
Thank you very much for your fine work this afternoon, Jack, our man on the ground in Qatar. Meanwhile, at Kenilworth Road, there's been another chance for Luton Town just to apply a little bit of pressure to Sheffield United in the dying minutes, but they haven't been able to close the deficit. What can you tell us, Ash?
Yeah, not really much is happening. There's a small chance here. It's still Luton 1, Sheffield United 3, and it was Andros Townsend on his weaker side. He hadn't managed to pick the ball up about 35 yards out, and he went past the defender quite easily and just took a strike about 27 yards out with his right foot. Great strike with his weaker foot, but in the end it really fizzled out to nothing. Sheffield United have really defended doggedly in these last, I would say, 10 or 15 minutes, really closing the game down well, and Chris Wilder will be absolutely delighted. On to 13 points, it looks like, for Sheffield United, but as it stands, it's Luton 1, Sheffield United 3.
Thank you very much indeed, Ash. 7 minutes of injury time has just been announced at Craven Cottage, where Bournemouth are, of course, in town and currently find themselves 3-1 down as the goals have been flying in all afternoon, frankly, here on Football Live. 6 goals across our opening 2 games in the 1:30 kickoff in the Premier League. It finished Manchester City 2, Everton 0, and our championship game between Ipswich and West Bromwich Albion, it finished 2-2 in that one. Meanwhile, later scores in the Premier League make for fascinating reading. Wolves 0, Brentford 2, Luton 1, Sheffield United 3, 3 valuable points rather for Sheffield United, which puts them level on points with Burnley, who are currently 3-1 down themselves at Liverpool. Meanwhile, Spurs 1, Brighton 1 is the latest score from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where 6 minutes of injury time have just been announced. Fulham 3, Bournemouth 1. Lots of games, currently 3-1. 3 of them in total. Fulham very much in cruise control at home to Bournemouth. Only about 5 minutes or so, unfortunately, left on Football Live on Brilla FM this afternoon. Don't forget, we want to hear from you. FJ will be in the studio when we have finished at 6 o'clock your time, 5 o'clock for our time here in the studio in London. We want to hear from you, Super Eagles. What do you think is going to happen tonight in the 3rd, 4th place playoff of the Africa Cup of Nations, I should say, between South Africa and DR Congo, and of course the all-important big one tomorrow night. What do you think is going to happen in the final of the Africa Cup of Nations tomorrow? Can Nigeria overcome Ivory Coast, the hosts Ivory Coast, tomorrow afternoon? Ivory Coast have really ridden their luck throughout this tournament and were given a stern test by DR Congo in the semi-final. So too were Nigeria, to be fair, against South Africa, but they comfortably won their penalty shootout. Ronwen Williams, the goalkeeper for South Africa, unable to replicate his heroics in the semi-final. We're going to head to Tom Cooney, who is at Molineux for us, has the full-time report from Wolves against Brentford. Tom.
Thanks, Alex. It's full-time here at Molineux. It's finished Wolves 0, Brentford 2 in something of an upset. You have to say the Brentford deserved their win in the end. They took the lead in the first half through Christian Norgard with his header on 35 minutes. Wolves had plenty of chances in the first half and in the second too, but they were unable to find a breakthrough, and Ivan Toney punished them on 77 minutes, putting the game to bed after Craig Dawson's mistake. A bad day at the office for Wolves, a bad day at the office for Craig Dawson, whose goal on 50 minutes was disallowed for a very, very tight offside when he thought he'd got his side back in the game. Disappointing day for Wolves, who also lost Matthias Cunha to injury, but a massive 3 points for Brentford in their fight for survival in the Premier League. Full time at Molineux, Wolves 0, Brentford 2.
Thank you for your superb work this afternoon, Tom. There was a VAR check for a potential red card in the Asia Cup final between Jordan and Qatar, but it was not given. Let's go to Anfield, where Richard Bond was watching Liverpool against Burnley. The final whistle has gone, Richard, and Liverpool didn't make it easy for themselves at times, but they have eventually run out fairly comfortable victors.
Yeah, they did in the end. It's Fulton Mills, Liverpool 3, Burnley 1. Story of missed chances for the visitors, actually, who failed to be clinical in front of goal at crucial periods. Diogo Jota struck the hosts into the lead midway through the first half against the run of play before Dara O'Shea levelled. Vincent Kompany's side at the stroke of half-time to level the scorelines. Liverpool, though, would be the better side after the break, despite riding their luck at times, scoring through Luis Diaz and Darwin Nunez, and should have scored more, really, as they comfortably run out winners to return back to the top of the league tonight. It's a close race at the moment. It finished here, Liverpool 3, Burnley 1.
Thank you very much, Richard. There has, right at the death, been a goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Late drama with the last kick of the game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Brighton went a goal up through a Pascal Gross penalty in the first half. Pape Sarr dragged them level just after the hour mark, and more or less with the last kick of the game, Brennan Johnson has made it 2-1 to Tottenham Hotspur. So Tottenham now 2-1 up at home to Brighton. Fantastic result as far as Tottenham Hotspur are concerned as they try and chase down Champions League football next season. You have to say some of the football they have played so far this season has been absolutely superb, and it would be no less than they deserve. So just to remind you, latest score in the Premier League, it is currently Fulham 3, Bournemouth 1, Wolves 0, Brentford 2, Spurs 2, Brighton 1, Liverpool 3, Burnley 1 is a result, and Sheffield United are 3-1 up away at Luton Town. What an absolute goal fest it has been in the Premier League this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here on Football Live. Just to remind you, 13 minutes of injury time has been called in the Asia Cup final. They've played a couple of minutes of that so far. Qatar 2-1 up against Jordan. And of course, in our earlier games this afternoon, it finished Manchester City 2, Everton 0, and Ipswich 2, West Bromwich Albion 2 in the 1:30 games. So, Super Eagles fans, get your calls into FJ. Let us know what you think tomorrow's result is going to be. A little bit of chat involved, I'm sure, about tonight's third and fourth place playoff in the Africa Cup of Nations final. But thank you to my superb team of reporters and superb producer John, for all of their fine work this afternoon. It's been an absolute goal fest here on Football Live. I have been Alex Guilford. Thank you very much for listening. This has been Football Live.
You have been listening to Football Live, exclusive to Brila FM, sponsored by NairaBet.